Chapter 310. Devour. Lu Ming manipulated the Nine Dragons' bloodline, and a terrifying devouring force was attached to his left palm. His left palm was like a black hole, and Lu Ming devoured the essence blood. Wherever he went, regardless of whether it was the blood essence of humans or the blood essence of the ash wolf, they were all devoured and refined. This time, Lu Ming used half of his essence blood to increase his cultivation. Although the Grey Wolf cavalry was not strong individually, they had the advantage in numbers. His cultivation base was slowly rising. Kill! Kill! The Red Blood cavalry's battle cries shook the sky. They kept reaping the lives of the Grey Wolf cavalry. The battle on the other side was alerted by the noise. The Grey Wolf cavalry is about to be destroyed. Our reinforcements are here. The Northern Battlefront army shouted. The Inmun Empire's army was shocked. Send reinforcements to the Grey Wolf cavalry. Quick! A general roared. All of a sudden, a group of 20,000 ordinary cavalry charged toward Lu Ming and the rest. Kill! Kill them all! Lu Ming roared and dashed toward the 20,000-strong army. The other Red Blood cavalry followed him. The 10,000 Grey Wolf cavalry were almost wiped out. Only a few hundred of them were left. They were running away in fear. The Chi Xia armored cavalry once again formed into a sharp knife formation and rushed towards the enemy. This time it was even more one-sided. The 20,000 Grey Wolf cavalry were defeated as soon as they came into contact. The Red Blood scaled wolves roared and the enemy's mounts trembled. Their fighting strength was greatly reduced. The Red Blood scaled wolves waved their claws and tore apart several cavalrymen. They could not resist at all. It was still a massacre. Reinforcements. Send the signal. Ask for reinforcements. An exasperated shout came from the Inmun Empire's army. Following that, streaks of smoke and fire flew up into the sky, forming multiple moons. The fierce battle continued. The Crimson Bloodscale Wolf entered the battlefield for the first time, displaying its unparalleled battle prowess. Facing enemies several times its size, it easily tore apart the enemy's battle formation and slaughtered the enemy's cavalry. Corpses were everywhere. Corpses were everywhere. During the battle, Lu Ming's cultivation broke through and reached the middle stage of the second martial Grandmaster realm. Rumble. Not long after, a deafening tremor resounded between heaven and earth. In the distance, tiger roars came from the Crimson Moon demonic tigers. The army of Crimson Moon demonic tigers was rushing toward them. There were 20,000 Crimson Moon demonic tigers, together with the previous 10,000 Crimson Moon demonic tigers. There were 30,000 of them. Kill! Kill that Red Blood scaled wolf cavalry. The Crimson Moon demonic tigers were led by a general in Red Blood cavalry. He was strong blood, scaled wolf, holding a mace. What a powerful aura! This is the aura of the 7th level martial ancestor realm. Blood, scaled wolves was Red Blood tiger, cavalry, kill! Without hesitation, Lu Ming led the 8,000 Red Blood Iron cavalry and charged toward the 20,000 Crimson Moon demonic tiger legion. The two armies drew closer and closer to each other. Die, brat! The blood-armored general roared and smashed the mace in his hand toward Lu Ming. Boom! Boom! The mace smashed through the air, causing the space to tremble violently. Golden Eye! Lu Ming's mind flickered, and the golden-eyed blood zombie beside him roared and charged towards the crimson-armored man. Boom! Boom! The golden-eyed blood zombie and the blood-armored general were locked in a fierce battle. Whoosh! Lu Ming thrust out his spear, the power of wind and fire fusing and erupting. Bang! A 5th martial ancestor realm expert had his heart pierced by Lu Ming's spear and fell to the ground. Lu Ming rushed over and devoured his essence blood, refining it with extreme speed. Following that, the spear swept out, and 100-meter-long spear light swept out. Dozens of Blood Moon Devil Tiger cavalry were blown apart, and their flesh and armor fragments scattered all over the ground. Kill! The two sides engaged in a fierce battle. The battle was incomparably fierce. Boom! Boom! The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and attacked the blood-armored general without fear of death. For a moment, the blood-armored general was at a complete disadvantage. Beast Dao Palm! Lu Ming struck out with his palm, and a huge beast palm flew towards the blood-armored general. Great demonic palm print! Not far away, Xian Yanqing also struck out a few palms, and a pitch-black palm print flew towards the blood-armored general. Bang! Bang! Although the blood-armored general was fierce, he could not withstand the ferocious attacks of the golden-eyed blood zombie. In addition, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were besieging him. His body shook violently, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood as he retreated quickly. Chi, however, the golden-eyed blood zombie, would not miss this opportunity. He pounced on the blood-armored general, and his fingernails were sharper than sabers. In an instant, he tore the blood-armored general's armor into pieces. Lu Ming rushed forward and devoured the blood-armored general's essence blood. This was the essence blood of a 7th martial ancestor realm martial artist, and it was shocking. Lu Ming continued to refine it, and his cultivation level began to rise rapidly. The general has been killed! Someone in the Blood Moon Devil Tiger cavalry shouted. The commander of the Blood Moon Devil Tiger cavalry had been killed, and their morale had plummeted. On the other hand, the Red Blood cavalry's morale had soared. General Tianyun is invincible. General Tianyun is invincible. The Red Blood cavalry roared as they charged towards the enemy. Slowly, the Crimson Blood Fiend Tiger army began to crumble. In a battle, victory and defeat were decided by a hair's breadth. Once they collapsed, they would be defeated like a landslide. Kill! The Red Blood cavalry's eyes were bloodshot as they charged towards the enemy. Hold on. The deputy general of the Blood Moon Devil Tiger cavalry roared. He tried to hold on and turn the tide, but it was all in vain. The Blood Moon Devil Tiger cavalry was doomed. Boom! Boom! In the distance, there were explosions in the sky. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he looked in that direction. There was also an intense battle going on in the sky a few miles away. That was the battlefield of the experts, because the people fighting there were all experts of the martial ancestor realm and above. There were 40 to 50 people fighting in the sky. Lu Ming discovered that there were experts of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. The others were undoubtedly experts of the Een Moon Empire. That's Autumn Moon. In the crowd, Lu Ming suddenly saw a familiar figure. It was Autumn Moon. Obviously, after not seeing him for such a long time, Autumn Moon had reached the martial ancestor realm. Hua Ying, I'll leave the Red Blood cavalry to you for the time being. All of a sudden, Lu Ming's shout could be heard from afar. Hua Ying was startled. Although he did not understand the reason, he immediately replied, Yes! On the battlefield, one only needed to obey. Good. I'll leave the Red Blood cavalry to you. Lu Ming said. There was no suspense in the battle here. Hua Ying was well versed in the art of commanding, so Lu Ming was relieved to leave it to him. Goldeye, let's go. Lu Ming moved and leaped from the crimson blood-scaled Wolf King's body, flying toward the distant sky. The gold-eyed blood zombie followed closely behind Lu Ming. They covered the distance of a few miles in an instant. Who's there? Chapter 311. I'm here to kill you. Lu Ming could not be bothered to talk to him as he stabbed out with his spear. Fiery wind kill. The man was only of martial ancestor realm 3 and was unable to defend himself against Lu Ming's attack. He was killed by the spear in the air. Then Lu Ming looked around and analyzed the situation. Most of the experts of the Burning Sun Empire were from the Mystic Essence, Sword Sect, and the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. It was obvious that they were at a disadvantage. High up in the sky, there was a loud explosion and a powerful aura came down. It was the aura of a martial ancestor realm 7 martial artist. Not far away, Autumn Moon was wearing a white dress. She exuded an extremely cold aura. When she waved her hand, the cold aura froze everything. After not seeing her for a while, Autumn Moon was even more beautiful. Her curves were graceful, and her figure was even more voluptuous. However, her beautiful face was extremely cold. It was even colder than the aura she exuded. Judging from the aura on Autumn Moon's body, Autumn Moon had reached the early stages of Martial Ancestor Realm 2. Even Lu Ming was shocked by her cultivation progress. Her opponent was a Martial Ancestor Realm 3 expert. However, he was completely suppressed by Autumn Moon. Absolute frost! Autumn Moon shouted. She waved her hands, and an endless amount of cold aura surged. Her opponent roared, but in the next moment, he was turned into an ice sculpture. Autumn Moon slapped out, and the ice sculpture shattered into pieces. A Martial Ancestor Realm, 3 martial artists had been easily killed by Autumn Moon. Little bitch, you're courting death. At that moment, a sharp sound was heard, and a bright sword radiance shot towards Autumn Moon. Autumn Moon's face changed. Her body flashed quickly, and she managed to dodge the sword radiance. With a flash of light, a white-haired old man appeared in front of Autumn Moon. He looked at Autumn Moon coldly. "Little bitch, die!" The old man shouted coldly. His sword radiance flashed, and he charged towards Autumn Moon. Martial Ancestor Realm 5. The old man had a cultivation of Martial Ancestor Realm 5. His sword radiance was bright and sharp. In an instant, he had completely suppressed Autumn Moon. "Rise!" Autumn Moon shouted. Her body flashed with a blood-red light, and a humanoid figure with blurry facial features appeared. This figure was incomparably cold, as if it was completely made of ice. At the same time, 5 silver chakras flashed across this figure. However, it was still seen by Lao O and Lu Ming. Level 5 King, Class Bloodline. The second bloodline awakened by Autumn Moon was actually a Level 5 King, Class Bloodline. Lu Ming was shocked, but on second thought he felt that it was normal. The first bloodline of Autumn Moon was originally a very powerful natural type ice bloodline among the special bloodlines. Its level was as high as level 8. It was normal for the second bloodline to be powerful. However, Oldo was frightened. Then he roared with a ferocious expression, "Die, die! I will not let you live in this world." Amidst the screams, the terrifying sword Qi surged towards Autumn Moon. After activating her bloodline, Autumn Moon's combat strength had increased tremendously. Although she was still at a disadvantage, she would not be defeated for a while. However, at this moment, a black-robed figure appeared not far away from Autumn Moon. He stared coldly at Autumn Moon. "Die!" Suddenly, the black-robed man attacked. A jet-black sword radiance pierced towards Autumn Moon. He was also a Level 5 Martial Ancestor Realm cultivation. "You are the one who will die." When the black-robed man appeared, Lu Ming had already rushed over. At this moment, he shouted coldly and swept out his spear. Clang! The long spear hit the black-robed man's long sword. The long sword shook violently and almost exploded. "Who is it?" The black-robed man's body shook violently, and he retreated quickly. "The one who will kill you." Lu Ming stepped out and charged towards the black-robed man. Boom! On the long spear, the power of wind and fire was entwined, causing the long spear to move at an extremely fast speed. Bam! The black-robed man's body was swept by the spear. He screamed in pain, and his body exploded. Now, Lu Ming only needed one move to kill a Level 5 Martial Ancestor Realm cultivation. The 9 dragons' bloodline circulated and devoured the opponent's essence blood. Suddenly, Lu Ming's body shook. His cultivation had broken through again. He had reached the late stage of level 2 martial ancestor realm. The essence blood he had devoured was too rich, and there was still a large portion that he had not refined. Kill! With the breakthrough in his cultivation, Lu Ming's combat strength was even stronger. In a flash, he appeared beside Elder O, who was fighting with Autumn Moon. He stabbed out with his spear, and the spear radiance was like lightning. Elder O screamed in horror and tried to dodge. However, everything was in vain. In the next moment, a large hole appeared in his chest. Killing with one spear, Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and looked like a god of war. You! Autumn Moon looked at Lu Ming and her heart trembled. She did not know why, but when she saw Lu Ming, she felt that he was extremely familiar. Although his body shape and appearance were completely different, she was all too familiar with his temperament. For a moment, she was stunned. What? Little girl, don't you recognize your young master? Lu Ming came to Autumn Moon's side and smiled. Hearing this, Autumn Moon's body trembled. Her beautiful eyes suddenly widened as she stared straight at Lu Ming. Young master? Is it really you? Is it really you? Chiu Yu's eyes were misty and tears rolled down her cheeks as she spoke emotionally. Little girl, if it's not me, who else could it be? Lu Ming stretched out his finger and scratched the tip of Autumn Moon's white nose. Autumn Moon was so emotional that her body trembled. Tears streamed down her face as she said, young master, Autumn Moon has finally found young master. If it were not for the fact that they were fighting, she would have jumped into Lu Ming's arms. Back then, she was brought to a secret place by her master to cultivate in seclusion. Her cultivation progress was extremely terrifying. However, when she ended her cultivation and returned to the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, she heard a shocking piece of news. Lu Ming killed his way into the White Tiger Hall and killed many people from the Duanmu family. In the end, the Duanmu family forced him to leave the Mystic Essence Sword Sect and disappear without a trace. This news was like a bolt from the blue to Autumn Moon. If it were not for her master stopping her, she would have killed her way into the White Tiger Hall. During this period of time, she had traveled far and wide, but there was no news about Lu Ming. If it were not for her master's kindness, she would have left the Mystic Essence Sword Sect on her own accord. This time, she followed the experts of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect to support the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. One reason was to gain experience, and the other was to find Lu Ming. She wanted to try her luck and see if she could get any news about Lu Ming. She never expected that Lu Ming would suddenly appear beside her. One could only imagine the excitement in her heart. Silly girl, why are you crying? It's more important to kill the enemy first. After we kill the enemy, we can have a good chat. Lu Ming stretched out his hand to wipe away Autumn Moon's tears. Yes, young master. Autumn Moon's tears turned into smiles. Her face revealed a smile that was even more brilliant than flowers. At this time, you still have the mood to be intimate with each other. Let this old man send the two of you on your way to the underworld to be intimate. Suddenly, a dry and hoarse voice rang out. A skinny and gloomy old man appeared not far away and looked at the two of them with a cold smile. His body emitted a powerful aura. Chapter 312. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie growled and stood in front of the old man. The old man looked at the golden-eyed blood zombie with fear. The reason why he did not launch a sneak attack was because of the golden-eyed blood zombie. Old man, you're the one who's going to die. Golden-eyed, go. Lu Ming growled. The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and pounced on the old man. Swoosh! Swoosh! At that moment, two figures appeared behind Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. As soon as they appeared, they turned into two slender and sharp sword radiances and stabbed toward Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. Their speed was shocking, and the sword radiances were sharp and indestructible. The two sneak attackers were at the peak of the 6th realm of the martial ancestor realm, and their auras were similar. When they joined forces, their power was multiplied. "You're courting death!" Lu Ming roared furiously and pulled Autumn Moon. At the same time, 6 ancient shields appeared in front of him. The 6 shields stacked together and blocked in front of him. Poof! Poof! Like leather being pierced, the sword radiances of the 2 sneak attackers were too sharp. The 6 shields were pierced one after another. However, Lu Ming had bought himself some time. His long spear turned into 2 spear radiances and stabbed forward. Clang! Clang! The tip of the spear and the sword collided. Lu Ming felt waves of sharp sword qi surging toward him. The wind and fire aura on the tip of the spear were almost scattered. Lu Ming moved and pulled Autumn Moon back quickly. The 2 sneak attackers were also blocked and were forced to retreat. At that moment, Lu Ming saw the 2 figures clearly. These 2 people looked almost exactly the same. They were short and small like monkeys. They were about 40 years old. "Damn it, this person can block our attack at such a young age. He's too terrifying. We can't let him live." The 2 short men growled and were shocked. "Kill!" Swoosh! Swoosh! The 2 of them moved and turned into 2 sword radiances. They charged toward Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. They were as fast as lightning and could not be seen with the naked eye. Icebound 10,000 miles. Autumn Moon shouted as her second bloodline appeared. With a wave of her hand, the temperature in front of her plummeted, and a large patch of frost appeared out of nowhere. It was as if even the air itself had frozen. Great success, Ice Force! Lu Ming could tell that the ice force that Autumn Moon comprehended was already at the major success stage. Its power was incomparably powerful. The 2 short men also seemed to be frozen, and their speed was greatly reduced. "Damn it! Damn it!" The 2 short men roared angrily. "Haha, good." Lu Ming laughed heartily as he struck out with both palms. In the sky, 2 huge beast claws condensed and blasted towards the 2 short men. During this period of time, Lu Ming had already cultivated the 3 Dao palms to the 5th level. Its power was close to that of a superior grade Earth rank martial skill. It was extremely powerful. As long as Lu Ming comprehended the final Heaven's Path palm, its might would be infinitely close to a Heaven tier martial skill. Boom! Boom! 2 beast claws came crashing down like mountains. The 2 short men slashed out streaks of sword qi to block the beast claws. With 2 booming sounds, the 2 of them trembled and quickly retreated. Swoosh! Lu Ming charged forward. His long spear was like a dragon as the spear radiance pierced through the air and blasted towards the 2 short men. Behind him, Autumn Moon waved her hands, and ice wheels that were like crescent moons appeared. They slashed towards the 2 short men continuously. It had to be said that the 2 short men were extremely powerful. Their genuine qi was dense and extremely sharp. Their cultivation had reached the peak of martial ancestor realm level 6. When the 2 of them joined forces, they could compete with an ordinary martial ancestor realm level 7. When Lu Ming and Autumn Moon joined forces, they could only fight to a draw. Refine, refine for me. Lu Ming tried his best to refine the essence blood in his body. The essence blood in his body came from a martial ancestor realm level 7 martial artist. There was also the essence blood of a martial ancestor realm level 5 martial artist and a large number of other martial artists. It was extremely rich. At that moment, it was continuously converted into the energy of the 9 dragons' bloodline and into Lu Ming's genuine qi. Lu Ming's genuine qi continued to grow. After a while, he reached the peak of martial ancestor realm level 2. However, he did not stop there. He started to break through to martial ancestor realm level 3. It was not the first time Lu Ming had broken through while fighting. He was familiar with the process. Of course, it was because of the 9 dragons' bloodline. The 2 short men became more and more frightened as they fought. Firstly, Autumn Moon's cold chi was too shocking. Although her cultivation was much lower than theirs, the cold chi was extremely terrifying. It was as if it could freeze everything. They felt that the genuine chi in their bodies was about to be frozen and their speed slowed down. Of course, the most terrifying one was Lu Ming. His attacks were violent and his strength was shocking. Each of his attacks could destroy a mountain. Each of his attacks forced them to give their all. Furthermore, Lu Ming did not seem to be tired at all. The more he fought, the braver he became. The 2 of them had the intention to retreat. Come, let's leave first. These 2 are too terrifying. We'll let the stronger experts kill them. Let's go. The 2 of them slashed a few times and decided to retreat. At that moment, Lu Ming's eyes emitted a brilliant glow as he sneered. Go? It's too late to leave now. Boom! The aura on Lu Ming's body rose rapidly like an erupting volcano. 3rd layer martial ancestor realm. Just a moment ago, his cultivation had successfully broken through. After breaking through to the 3rd layer martial ancestor realm, Lu Ming's combat strength rose rapidly again. Oh no, he broke through? One of the short men yelled in disbelief. Demon, he's a demon. Retreat, retreat quickly. The other man yelled crazily as he retreated frantically. However, it was too late. Lu Ming moved like lightning and appeared not far away from him in the blink of an eye. He thrust his spear forward. Poof! It was as if the air had been pierced through. A spear radiance instantly crossed 100 meters and penetrated everything. The short man did not even have time to react before his heart was pierced through by the spear radiance. Buzz! Then Lu Ming held the spear in his hand and threw it out. A spear radiance that was 200 meters long crossed the void and blasted toward the other short man. Break! The short man yelled in horror as he slashed out a shocking sword radiance. However, it was useless. The spear radiance swept past and the sword radiance collapsed. The spear radiance did not stop and struck the short man. Bang! The short man screamed as many bones in his body were broken. His body flew out like a cannonball as blood spurted out from his body. Although he was not dead, he was not far from it. Chiu Yu waved out a crescent-shaped ice wheel, which rushed through the short man's body and cut him in 2. Lu Ming rushed past them and devoured their blood essence. The blood essence of 2 martial artists at the peak of the 6th layer martial ancestor realm was definitely a great supplement. Roar! On the other side, the golden-eyed blood zombie was fearless and had completely suppressed his opponent. How is this possible? Seeing that Lu Ming had killed the 2 short men, the old man could not believe it. Although the 2 short men were no match for him, they were not to be underestimated. He had thought that it would be more than enough to kill Lu Ming and Autumn Moon. However, he had never expected that they would be killed by Lu Ming. The old man was shocked. It's your turn now. Lu Ming's eyes were like lightning as he moved and stabbed the old man with his spear. Clang! The old man slashed out with his sword and collided with the long spear. However, he was pushed back by a powerful force. How can he be so strong? Chapter 3:13. The old man was no match for the golden-eyed blood zombie. With the addition of the freakish Lu Ming, he did not dare to continue the fight. He turned and ran. You want to leave? It's not that easy. Lu Ming sneered and chased after him. At the same time, the golden-eyed blood zombie did the same. The white-haired old man was shocked. He flew up into the sky. There were 6 figures, both male and female. Each of them emitted a terrifying aura. The 6 of them were all experts in the martial ancestor realm. There were 3 from the Een Moon Empire and 3 from the Burning Sun Empire. The 6 of them were fighting fiercely. Seeing the white-haired old man rushing over, the 3 from the Een Moon Empire were shocked. One of them asked, "Old Lin, why are you back?" The intelligence was wrong this time. There are a few extremely powerful figures. I'm no match for them. Let's retreat quickly, the white-haired old man shouted. Retreat? We're about to win. How can we retreat now? Are you crazy? A burly man roared. Whoosh! At this time, Lu Ming and the golden-eyed blood zombie had already rushed over. The white-haired old man was scared and fled in a hurry. What's there to be afraid of? I'll kill him, that burly man bellowed coldly. The opponent, who had retreated with one move, was holding a huge saber in his hand. He slashed toward Lu Ming. Boom! The saber radiance slashed down, and the space shook violently. No! The white-haired old man screamed. But it was too late. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and rushed forward. He waved his claws, and streaks of blood-red light appeared and collided with the saber radiance. Whoosh! Then Lu Ming stabbed out with his spear. The spear radiance, which contained the power of wind and fire, instantly pierced through the saber radiance and headed for the burly man. The big man's pupils suddenly widened, revealing an extremely frightened look. Ah! Retreat! 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 The burly man roared. He unleashed all of his genuine chi and physical strength in an attempt to dodge the spear radiance. But it was too late. He avoided his vital parts, but was still stabbed in the shoulder by the spear radiance. The burly man's shoulder exploded, and one of his arms disappeared. Ah! The burly man let out a blood-curdling scream as he coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. He had already suffered heavy injuries. Circulating his remaining jinchi, he attempted to flee. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. His long spear shook, and the spear light swept out horizontally, whipping the big man's body. The big man screamed in horror, and then his body exploded in the air. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed over and devoured the blood essence. Retreat, retreat quickly. The white-haired old man was scared out of his wits. The big man, who was no weaker than him, was killed by Lu Ming and the golden-eyed blood zombie in a single exchange. He was so scared that his whole body trembled. He screamed and ran even faster. Go! The other 2 martial arts Grandmaster Realm experts from the Moon Empire also turned pale with fright and fled madly. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming did not give chase. The reason why he had been able to kill the burly man so easily was not because he was much stronger than the burly man, but because the burly man had been too careless. That was why he had been killed by Lu Ming and the golden-eyed blood zombie. If they were to fight head-on, Lu Ming might not be able to defeat the burly man. Mister, how should I address you? At this moment, the 3 martial arts Grandmaster Realm experts from the Burning Sun Empire flew over. They cupped their fists and bowed. At the same time, they carefully sized up Lu Ming. After discovering Lu Ming's age, they were shocked. I am Tianyin. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. From their attire, he could tell that one of them was an expert from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect, and the other 2 were experts from the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. You are Tianyin? The expert from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect was a tall and skinny man in his 50s. At this moment, he exclaimed. The 2 experts from the Ghost Moon Saber Sect also looked at Lu Ming in shock. Tianyin's name had spread throughout the Burning Sun Empire. As long as one was a martial artist, they would know of him. However, today they realized that Tianyin was even stronger and more amazing than the rumor said. Seniors, it's more important for us to deal with the enemy first, Lu Ming said. That's right. Let's go and kill those beasts from the Moon Empire. The tall and skinny man from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect roared. Immediately, the 4 of them rushed to the battlefield of the other martial arts grandmasters. The martial arts grandmasters from the Moon Empire had obviously received the news and fled like the wind. After leaving behind a few lives, they all fled. Kill! The other martial arts grandmasters charged towards the battlefield on the ground. Mister, Xiao Moon appeared beside Lu Ming and whispered, Her eyebrows were filled with joy. Xiao Moon, let's go and kill the enemy together. After the battle, we can have a good gathering. Lu Ming smiled and said. Xiao Moon nodded obediently and followed Lu Ming to the battlefield below. There was no suspense on the battlefield below. When Lu Ming left, the 20,000 Crimson Moon demonic tigers of the Yin Moon Empire had already been defeated. After that, the Northern Battlefront Army fought back and attacked the Crimson Blood Scaled Wolves from both sides. The Yin Moon Army was completely defeated. When Lu Ming came back, he saw Xian Yanqing leading the Crimson Blood Scaled Wolves to chase the defeated Yin Moon Army. Along the way, there were corpses everywhere. Whoosh! Lu Ming landed on the Crimson Blood Scaled Wolf King. Xiao Moon also landed and sat in front of Lu Ming. The Crimson Blood Scaled Wolf King was huge, more than 6 meters long. It was still very spacious for 2 people to sit on it. On the other side, Xian Yanqing saw Lu Ming and Xiao Moon sitting in front of Lu Ming. His face darkened and a trace of coldness flashed in his eyes. Run! The soldiers of the Yin Moon Empire screamed in fear and ran for their lives. However, no matter how fast they were not as fast as the Crimson Blood Scaled Wolves. They were killed one by one. The smell of blood filled the air. Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed that the golden eye blood zombie next to him was emitting a thick, bloody light. The bloody qi in the air kept gathering towards the golden eye blood zombie. The bloody light on the golden eye blood zombie was getting thicker and thicker. That's right. Blood zombies like to drink blood to increase their strength. The battlefield is their heaven. Lu Ming thought to himself. He was secretly happy. He was happy that the golden eye blood zombie had become stronger. The slaughter continued. After an hour, everything returned to normal. The Yin Moon Empire had suffered a crushing defeat. Tens of thousands of corpses were left behind. It was a great loss. All of this was because of the arrival of the Crimson Blood Scaled Wolves, led by Lu Ming. The Crimson Blood Scaled Wolves' power was demonstrated. Dong Dong, a troop of horses galloped over and stopped 100 meters in front of Lu Ming. It was the Northern Battlefront Army. Is that General Tianyin in front of us? A big, dark-skinned man in his 40s shouted. Yes, I am Tianyin. Lu Ming said, I am Huang Qianlong, the Deputy General of the Northern Battlefront Army. Nice to meet you, General Tianyin. The dark-skinned man cupped his fists. General Huang, please come over for a chat. Lu Ming said. Huang Qianlong nodded and led some people to meet up with Lu Ming. Lu Ming asked Huang Qianlong what had happened. How was the Northern Battlefront Army? The great general was assassinated. Chapter 314. The general of the North Battlefront Army was assassinated by the assassins of the Empire of Yin Moon. Then, the army of the Empire of Yin Moon seized the opportunity to attack. The North Battlefront Army was in chaos after the general died. The Empire of Yin Moon seized the chance and broke into the North Battlefront City. They suffered a great loss. The remaining soldiers of the North Battlefront Army tried to break out of the encirclement, but the army of Yin Moon caught up with them. That was the reason for the great battle. Luckily, the superior cultivators of the Ghost Moon Saber Sect and the Mystic Essence Sword Sect helped them. Otherwise, they would have been defeated. With the help of Lu Ming's army, they were able to turn the tables and defeat the army of Yin Moon. The North Battlefront City has been occupied by the Empire of Yin Moon. They have deployed a great army to guard it. It's too difficult to take it back. Huang Qianlong sighed. Lu Ming had a sudden realization. So that was the case. So what's your next plan? Lu Ming asked. Huang Qianlong and the other deputy generals looked at each other and nodded. Then they got off their horses and bowed to Lu Ming. If you don't abandon us, we are willing to lead the remaining soldiers of the North Battlefront Army to you. Generals, what are you doing? Stand up and talk. Lu Ming hurried to help Huang Qianlong and the others up. General Tianyan, we are defeated. We have nowhere to go. If you don't take us in, we will be wiped out by the empire of Inmun sooner or later. You are a peerless genius. If you lead us, we will avenge our brothers. Please take us in. Huang Qianlong bowed to him. Okay, I will take you in. Lu Ming pondered for a while and nodded in agreement. Thank you so much, General Tianyan. Huang Qianlong and the others were overjoyed. Generals, brothers, don't worry. I, Tianyan, swear that I will lead you to kill the empire of Inmun and avenge our brothers, Lu Ming shouted. His voice spread far and reached the ears of every soldier of the North Battlefront Army. General Tianyan is awesome. General Tianyan is invincible. Instantly, the field burst into loud cheers. After a while, the cheers stopped. Then, Lu Ming asked Huang Qianlong to count the remaining Northern Battlefront Army. Huang Qianlong accepted the order and left. At this moment, a ray of light flashed across the sky, and a figure appeared. It was the tall and thin man from the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Autumn Moon, the battle here is over. Follow me back to the Ghost Moon Saber Sect. The lanky man said. Marshal Uncle, you can go back first. I plan to stay in the military camp to train. Autumn Moon said. Stay in the barracks? No. The tall and skinny man's expression changed drastically. Autumn Moon's second bloodline awakening was a terrifying level 5 king class. This was too shocking. She was much stronger than Duan Mulin. Her future achievements were unimaginable. Only a few of the higher-ups of the Mystic Essence Sword Sect knew that Autumn Moon was listed as a key training target. Now that Autumn Moon had to stay in the military camp to train, if anything were to happen, he wouldn't be able to answer to Autumn Moon's master and the other higher-ups. Marshal Uncle, don't worry. I'll be careful. Autumn Moon said. Senior, Miss Autumn Moon will stay in the barracks. Tianyan will do his best to protect her. I won't let her get hurt. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. The tall and skinny man muttered to himself as his mind started to wander. How did Autumn Moon get to know Tianyan? Could it be love at first sight between a hero and a beauty? It's very possible. With Autumn Moon's talent, only a genius like Tianyan is worthy of her. Fine, I'll let her stay. I'll go back and report to Senior and the sect leader to let them decide. Thinking of this, the tall and skinny man bowed slightly and said, Since that's the case, I'll have to trouble young master, Tianyan. Senior, don't worry. Lu Ming nodded. Then the tall and skinny man turned into a ray of light and disappeared. Humph. General Tianyan, you're really handsome. You didn't forget to kidnap a little beauty when you're marching to war. Why? It's too cold at night. Are you using her to warm your bed? At this time, a faint voice sounded. Xian Yinqing came over riding on the red blood-scale wolf. He carefully sized up Qiuyu, and a gloomy look flashed in the depths of his eyes. Ahem, Shaoqing, what nonsense are you talking about? Lu Ming coughed a few times and then rolled his eyes. He approached Xian Yinqing and said, What's wrong? You sound so sour. Are you jealous? Jealous? You, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I be jealous of you? Dream on. Xian Yinqing's heart skipped a few times and she hurriedly denied it. But her heart beat even faster. That inexplicable feeling in her heart made her a little flustered. When she saw Lu Ming and Qiuyu together, she felt an inexplicable sourness in her heart. Am I really jealous? No, that's impossible. How could I be jealous of this guy? I just want to trample him under my feet. Yes, that must be it. I will work hard to cultivate and trample him under my feet as soon as possible. Xian Yinqing kept thinking in her heart. She stared at Lu Ming fiercely and gritted her teeth. Lu Ming got goosebumps from her stare. He thought to himself, Is this woman crazy? On the side, Autumn Moon looked at Lu Ming and Xian Yinqing. No one knew what she was thinking, but she didn't say anything. After a while, Huang Qianlong came to report the number of soldiers. There were 60,160 soldiers in the Northern Battlefront Army. Almost 40,000 of the 100,000 soldiers in the Northern Battlefront Army were killed in one night. It was a great loss. Immediately, Lu Ming led the Red Blood-Scale Cavalry and more than 60,000 soldiers to the Moon City. On the way, they met Ming Meng, who was leading the army, to rescue them. After knowing the situation of the Northern Battlefront Army, Ming Meng sighed. They returned to the Moon City the same way they came. After returning to the Moon City, Lu Ming asked Hua Ying to reorganize the Northern Battlefront Army. He hid in the Temple of Paragon and started to refine the Essence Blood. Although he had refined a part of the Essence Blood, there was still a lot left. The energy of the Essence Blood was turned into genuine Qi. Lu Ming's cultivation kept increasing. After refining all the Essence Blood in the 9-Dragon bloodline, his cultivation reached the late stage of the Martial Ancestor Realm. He was only one step away from the peak of the Martial Ancestor Realm. After breaking through to the Martial Ancestor Realm, he had killed a Martial Ancestor Realm 7 expert. However, the Essence Blood of the Martial Ancestor Realm 7 expert didn't help him increase his cultivation by much. After refining the Essence Blood, Lu Ming left the Temple of Paragon and helped Hua Ying reorganize the Northern Battlefront Army. 2 days later, the Northern Battlefront Army was reorganized. Lu Ming had almost 80,000 soldiers under his command. His strength had increased greatly. However, Lu Ming still wasn't satisfied. After this battle, Lu Ming found the weakness of the Red Blood-Scale Wolf Army. Although the Red Blood-Scale Wolf Army was powerful, most of them relied on their mounts and red blood-scale wolves. The soldiers' cultivation was too weak, and it was difficult for them to use the full strength of the Red Blood-Scale Wolf Army. Moreover, there were too few of them. There were originally 8,000 of them, but they had lost 500 to 600 in this battle. Their numbers had decreased by a lot. I have to think of a way to increase the soldiers' cultivation. Also, I have to capture more red blood-scale wolves. Lu Ming thought. Chapter 3:15. If he could have 30,000 crimson blood-scale wolves and 30,000 Martial Master Realm warriors to form an army, it would be truly terrifying. It would become an invincible army. Lu Ming shook his head with a smile. It was just a thought. It was too difficult to realize. Crimson blood-scale wolves were easy, but 30,000 Martial Master Realm warriors were too difficult. Now, including the 60,000 Northern Battlefront Army, Lu Ming had less than 5,000 Martial Master Realm warriors under his command, unless it was a force like the 5 Great Sections. For example, the Mystic Essence Sword Sect. Besides the young disciples, there were many warriors over 30 years old. The total number of Martial Master Realm warriors might be more than 100,000. But that was the result of years of accumulation. In the past few days, there was no movement in the Yin Moon army. It seemed that after the battle, the Yin Moon army needed to rest. Hence, Lu Ming led the Red Blood Iron Horse into the depths of the plateau to capture the Red Blood Scaled Wolves. Roar! Lu Ming rode on the Crimson Blood Scale Wolf and rushed forward. On the side, Xian Yinqing rode on another Crimson Blood Scale Wolf and followed closely. On the other side, Autumn Moon also rode on a Crimson Blood Scale Wolf and followed. Seeing Lu Ming, Autumn Moon was in a good mood. She had a bright smile on her face every day. She followed Lu Ming all day, just like the little maid she used to be. Xian Yinqing gritted his teeth and muttered that Lu Ming was a pervert, which made Lu Ming smile bitterly. Roar! Roar! The Crimson Blood Scale Wolf army roared and marched into the depths of the wilderness. Lu Ming let the Crimson Blood Scale Wolf lead the way. After a few hours, they arrived at a huge valley. Roar! Roar! Wolf howls came from the valley. Then, Crimson Blood Scale wolves appeared one after another. There are more! Lu Ming was overjoyed. Obviously, this was another group of Crimson Blood Scale wolves. Roar! A huge wolf howl sounded. and a huge crimson blood scaled wolf with a fiendish aura walked out. This crimson blood scale wolf, whether it was its size or aura, was not inferior to the crimson blood scale wolf king that Lu Ming was riding. Clearly, this was the king of the crimson blood scale wolves. Roar! Roar! The crimson blood scale wolf kings under Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing began to howl. They seemed to be communicating with the crimson blood scale wolf king. Roar! After howling for a while, the crimson blood scale wolf king growled at Lu Ming. Its eyes were filled with doubt and then a provocative light. Looks like strength is the only thing that matters. Lu Ming smiled faintly and pounced on the crimson blood-scale wolf king. Roar! The crimson blood-scaled wolf king also pounced forward. One man and one wolf engaged in a fierce battle. Half an hour later, when Lu Ming continued his journey, there were more than 5,000 crimson blood-scale wolves behind him. This was the number of crimson blood-scale wolves in the previous pack. The crimson blood-scale wolf king had become Qiu Yu's mount. However, Lu Ming was still not satisfied. He continued his search on the plateau. There were countless crimson blood-scale wolves in the plateau. They had lived here for countless years. In 3 days, Lu Ming found 5 packs of crimson blood-scale wolves. The strongest pack of crimson blood-scale wolves had more than 10,000 wolves. The weakest pack only had 2,000 wolves. Through the 2 crimson blood-scale wolf kings at the beginning, Lu Ming's strength and Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing's howling moon wolf king's aura, these crimson blood-scale wolves were subdued one by one. Suddenly, the number of crimson blood-scale wolves under Lu Ming's command exceeded 30,000, reaching a total of 32,000. At this point, Lu Ming had to stop. Deeper into the plateau, the beasts that appeared were too strong. Some of them were Class 8 LV4, and some were even Class 9 LV4. If Lu Ming and the rest continued, they would suffer great losses. However, 30,000 crimson blood-scale wolves were enough. Immediately, Lu Ming brought the crimson blood-scale wolves back to Full Moon City. Needless to say, it caused a tsunami-like commotion. The Mountain Suppression Army was envious, while the former Northern Battlefront Army that had sided with Lu Ming was ecstatic. Lu Ming was not stingy. He gave a few hundred crimson blood-scale wolves to Ming Meng. As for the rest, Lu Ming selected 30,000 of the strongest men to form a crimson blood-scale wolf cavalry. There were 31,000 of them. 1,000 of them were called the Crimson Blood Guards. They were the strongest and the most elite. They were Lu Ming's guards. The other 30,000 formed an army. Lu Ming temporarily handed them over to Hua Ying to manage and train. Hua Ying's mount was also changed to a crimson blood-scale wolf king. It was easier to manage. Lu Ming was happy to be able to relax. Other than occasionally sparring with Autumn, he spent most of his time cultivating. In the Temple of Paragon, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. He had just refined a few hundred spiritual herbs and cultivated the 10,000 spirit battle form to increase his physical strength. At this moment, he stopped cultivating. The 9 Dragons Heaven Stomping Steps is really difficult to cultivate. It's been so many days, but I still haven't mastered the first step. However, I feel that I've gained some insights recently. As long as I continue to comprehend, I'll master it sooner or later. There's also the 3rd palm of the 3 Tao palms, the Heavenly Path palm. I don't have any clue about it either. If I can master it, it'll definitely be my trump card. Lu Ming pondered. Now, cultivating the true dragon of battle arts and comprehending the force was something that he had to do every day. Other than that, he had to cultivate various martial techniques. Every day, Lu Ming felt that he didn't have enough time. Thinking of this, Lu Ming moved his hand and a storage ring appeared. What's in the storage ring of a king? Looking at the storage ring, Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. That's right. This storage ring belonged to the martial king that Lu Ming had obtained in the Dongyi tribe's ancestral ruins. Lu Ming had fought with Xian Yinqing for this storage ring. In the end, Xian Yinqing had chosen a small jade sword. There was a powerful inscription array on the storage ring. Lu Ming couldn't break it in the past. He could only slowly work on it. However, recently, Lu Ming felt that the inscription array on the storage ring was loosening. It was about to be broken. Today, I'll break it completely. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Then his hands glowed and powerful true qi surged toward the storage ring. The storage ring floated in the air, surrounded by a light screen. However, this light screen had become very thin. Under Lu Ming's true qi, it was on the verge of collapsing. "Break for me!" Lu Ming shouted. The true dragon of battle qi was constantly circulating. Like small true dragons, they rushed toward the light screen. Suddenly, the light screen emitted a bright light and expanded rapidly. When it had expanded to a few meters, it exploded with a poof. The inscription array on the storage ring was broken. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He grabbed the storage ring and immersed his mind into it. "It's so big!" His first impression was that the storage ring had a huge space. Lu Ming reckoned that even if he threw a mountain peak into it, it would be able to contain it. Then, Lu Ming saw a mountain of items in the storage ring. This is spiritual weapons, armor, elixirs, and secret manuals. Chapter 316. However, after looking through them, Lu Ming was shocked. Actually, these spiritual weapons, armors, elixirs, and secret manuals were not very high level. The key was that there were too many of them. Numerous battle spears and battle swords were piled up like a mountain, emitting a cold luster. The armors were piled up higher than a mountain. The elixirs and jade bottles were also piled up like a mountain. There were too many of them. There were too many of them. Lu Ming estimated that there were at least hundreds of thousands of sets of spiritual weapons and armors. This was simply an armory. Lu Ming picked up some of them and found that most of them were level 2 spiritual weapons. There were a few level 3 spiritual weapons. As for level 4 spiritual weapons, there were not many of them. These are soul-gathering elixirs and soul-breaking elixirs. When Lu Ming checked the elixirs, he was shocked at first. Then he was excited and overjoyed. Soul-gathering elixirs could help martial soldiers and even martial masters improve their cultivation quickly. On the other hand, soul-breaking elixirs could help people break through to the next realm. Most of them were level 2 elixirs. They were not very useful for martial masters. However, there were too many of them. No wonder Lu Ming was so excited. These items could equip a huge army. How could there be so many low-level items in the storage ring of a martial king expert? Then, Lu Ming thought about it and understood. The Dongyi tribe had occupied a huge territory and established an empire. Now, most of the territory of the Burning Sun Empire, the Dark Moon Empire, and even the Blood Zhao Empire belonged to the Dongyi tribe. The Dongyi tribe was a real medium-sized empire. Later on, it was destroyed. The Dongyi ancestor storage ring was filled with so many low-level spiritual weapons and elixirs. He must have wanted to build an army and rebuild the Dongyi Empire in the future. However, he died before he could do it. Now, all of them were taken advantage of by Lu Ming. Ha ha ha! I've searched high and low only to find it by chance. Good, this is great. In this way, how big of an army can I build? The Crimson Blood, Scaled Wolf Cavalry, and the other soldiers will be upgraded. Their strength will definitely increase greatly. Lu Ming thought ecstatically. Thinking of this, Lu Ming immediately left the Temple of Paragon and gathered all his deputy generals and deputy generals. When Lu Ming used some empty storage rings to store these spirit armors and elixirs and showed them to these deputy and deputy generals, these people were immediately petrified. All of them widened their eyes and opened their mouths. They stared at Lu Ming in disbelief, motionless. After a long while, they finally reacted, and their bodies trembled with excitement. "General, are these all yours?" Hua Ing gulped and said, "Of course. Did you think I snatched them? All right. Give everyone a set of spiritual weapons and armor. Distribute these medicinal pills to increase their strength. Take note. Focus on the 30,000 scarlet blood scaled wolves. I want them to break through to Martial Master as quickly as possible." Lu Ming instructed. His goal was to let the 30,000 crimson blood scaled wolves all reach the Martial Master realm. Only then could the crimson blood scaled wolves unleash their true strength. Of course, he only gave out 80,000 sets of spiritual weapons and armors. He would keep the rest for now. As for the secret manuals, they were some low-level martial techniques and battle formations. They were suitable for fighting on the battlefield, so they wouldn't be used in a short time. Lu Ming didn't give them out. Hua Ing and the others went out happily. Not long after, when Lu Ming's subordinates all changed into new equipment, everyone in the mountain-crushing army was shocked. It was too shocking. Lu Ming's subordinates were all equipped with level 2 spiritual weapons and armors. Level 2 spiritual weapons were on par with martial masters. When martial soldiers put on level 2 spiritual weapons and armors, their combat strength would definitely increase greatly. Their ability to protect themselves would also increase greatly. As for the elites, they all changed into level 3 spiritual weapons. It didn't take long for everyone to find out that Tianyin was the one who had given them the equipment. The mountain-crushing army's soldiers were so envious that their eyes turned red. They found that the soldiers who followed Lu Ming were treated too well. First, they had crimson blood scaled wolves, and now even their equipment was brand new. If it weren't for the military rules, they would have sworn allegiance to Tianyin. After Ming Meng found out, he smiled bitterly. From then on, every soldier under Lu Ming used the energy gathering pill and the energy breakthrough pill to crazily increase their cultivation. During this time, the Yin Moon Empire seemed to have calmed down and didn't make any other moves. Time passed in a flash, and half a month passed. In the past half a month, the strength of the crimson blood-scaled wolves had increased crazily. Originally, there were about 5,000 martial masters in the crimson blood-scaled wolves. As for the rest, most of them were at the 8th and 9th level of the martial warrior realm. In the past half a month, all of them had crazily improved. Some 9th level martial warriors had been stuck in the 9th level for a long time. At this time, with the help of the energy breakthrough pill, they broke through the bottleneck and rushed into the martial master realm. In half a month, more than 10,000 people rushed into the martial master realm. As for the others, almost every one of them had advanced by 1 or 2 levels. Pills left behind by a martial king expert, even if the level wasn't high, were still extraordinary. The Eastern barbarian martial king intended to build a strong army in a short period of time. The effects of the pills were naturally astonishing, exceeding Lu Ming's expectations. Great! If this continues, the 30,000 crimson blood-scaled wolves will all enter the martial master realm in less than a month. Lu Ming was overjoyed and distributed the pills without hesitation. The pills in the martial king's storage ring were prepared for the army of 500,000, so there was an inexhaustible supply. At this time, news came from Ming Meng that the Yin Moon Empire had made a move recently. Sure enough, 3 days later, the Yin Moon Empire's 600,000 army attacked the Ghost Moon Saber Sect's territory. For a time, the war continued. After Lu Ming received the news, he didn't hesitate and led the 30,000 crimson blood-scaled wolves to set off. It was time to test the strength of the crimson blood-scaled wolves. This battle shocked the entire world, shaking the Blazing Sun Empire and the Yin Moon Empire. The 30,000 crimson blood-scaled wolves led by Lu Ming were simply invincible and undefeatable. In this battle, the crimson blood-scaled wolves' first opponent was the Yin Moon Empire's Grey Wolf Legion. The 50,000 Grey Wolf Legion didn't have the slightest ability to fight back against the crimson blood-scaled wolves' attack. The 50,000 Grey Wolf Legion was almost completely annihilated. In this way, the Yin Moon Empire's Grey Wolf Legion was completely destroyed by Lu Ming, with 70,000 of them destroyed. Afterwards, the Yin Moon Empire sent out an extremely powerful legion, the Wild Lion Legion. The Wild Lion Legion was 100,000 strong, and their battle strength was even stronger than the Grey Wolf Legion. This battle was incomparably tragic, and shouts of killing filled the sky. In the end, the result was the same. The 30,000 crimson blood-scaled wolves defeated the 100,000 Wild Lion Legion in one fell swoop. The 100,000 Wild Lion Legion was almost completely wiped out. Chapter 317. In this battle, the Yin Moon Empire had lost 2 powerful legions and was forced to retreat. After this battle, the prestige of the Burning Sun Empire's imperial family increased greatly. This was because the Scarlet Blood Cavalry and Tianyin belonged to the imperial family. In the imperial palace of the Burning Sun Empire, excited laughter came from the throne room. In the throne room, Emperor Hua Jingxing sat on the dragon throne. Below him stood all the officials. Ha ha ha, good. Tianyin is indeed a peerless genius with the potential of a dragon or a phoenix. This battle has greatly damaged the morale of the Yin Moon Empire, and our imperial family's prestige has greatly increased. We have regained our popularity in the hearts of the people. Hua Jingxing laughed as his eyes shone with excitement. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for finding such a genius. Our imperial family has forgotten about this. A white-haired old official came up to congratulate. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for finding such a talent. The other civil and military officials all bowed and shouted loudly. Father, Tianyin has done such a great service. We have to reward him. Hua Qi walked out and bowed. Reward? Of course we have to reward him. How about this? Give Tianyin the title of Marquis Champion, meaning that he can form any army and recruit any talents. Hua Jingxing announced. Thank you, Father. Hua Qi was overjoyed. Your Majesty is wise. The officials all congratulated. The news of Tianyin being given the title of Marquis Champion shook the Burning Sun Empire again. Tianyin's name was remembered by everyone because he was the youngest marquis in the history of the Burning Sun Empire. In the palace of Heavenly King Suppressor, Marquis Champion? Damn it, this Tianyin deserves to die. Heavenly King Suppressor's angry roar came from the palace. In a certain side hall of the Star General Hall, Lu Yuntian was sitting on a stone table in a small courtyard with a piece of white paper spread out. He was concentrating on writing. It was the character for Marshal. Lu Yuntian's brush strokes were bold and vigorous, as if they were about to break free from his grasp. Although Lu Yuntian's cultivation had been destroyed, the word Marshal still contained his essence. He finished writing in one go. Lu Yuntian exhaled deeply. Brother Tian, I believe that in the future, Ming-Er will definitely cure you and let you step onto the martial path again. Li Ping whispered as she saw through Lu Yuntian's thoughts. She understood how desolate it was for a martial arts genius to be unable to practice martial arts. Ping, as long as you're by my side, even if I can't practice martial arts, so what? Moreover, Ming-Er's talent is countless times higher than mine. I'm satisfied. Lu Yuntian smiled. At this moment, a servant girl of about 20 years old hurriedly ran in. The maidservant was brought over by Li Ping from the Lu family and was very loyal. Chuanxiang, why are you in such a hurry? What happened? Li Ping frowned and asked. Master, madam, good news, good news! Young Master won a great victory at the border. Now His Majesty the Emperor has already conferred young Master the title of Marquis Champion and announced it to the world. Chen Xiang said excitedly. What? Lu Yuntian froze, the brush in his hand falling to the ground. Li Ping was also stunned. After a while she finally reacted. She was so excited that her whole body was trembling. Marquis Champion? Ming-Er has been conferred the title of Marquis? Is it true? Is it true? Li Ping asked a few times. She thought she was dreaming. It's absolutely true. Master, madam, the outside world is talking about this matter now. Everyone knows about it. Chen Xiang said. Ming, has been conferred the title of Marquis. Brother Tian Ming has been conferred the title of Marquis. Li Ping whispered as tears rolled down her face. She couldn't help but lean into Lu Yuntian's arms. She was too excited. Why are you crying? This is a great thing. Why are you crying? Lu Yuntian hugged Li Ping and pretended to be calm. However, his slightly trembling voice could not hide his excitement. 2 days later, the news spread to Full Moon City. Marquis champion, Marquis champion! An inspiring roar resounded through the sky. On the northern grassland, tens of thousands of miles away from Full Moon City, there were endless military tents here. At a glance, there was no end to it. This was the largest military camp in the south of the Yin Moon Empire. It ruled most of the southern territory of the Yin Moon Empire. Yin Tianjue, the south guarding king of the Yin Moon Empire, was stationed here. He was fully in charge of the attack against the Burning Sun Empire. At this moment, there were a dozen people sitting in Yin Tianjue's military tent. Yin Tianjue sat at the top, looking at a figure wrapped in a black robe in the middle of the tent. Yin Tianjue, why did your Yin Moon Empire retreat? Our plan is ruined. The black-robed man only revealed a pair of eyes. He looked at Yin Tianjue gloomily. Why did we retreat? Nonsense. Do you know how big our losses are? The entire Wild Lion Legion was annihilated, the Grey Wolf Legion was almost destroyed, and the Crimson Moon, Demonic Tiger Legion, and so on. Do you know how much it cost to train these legions? Do you know? Yin Tianjue slammed the table heavily and almost roared. The black-robed man was silent for a while and said, This time we didn't foresee it. We didn't expect Tianyin to be so difficult to deal with. Haha, you want to shirk responsibility by saying that you didn't foresee it? Wishful thinking. Yin Tianjue sneered. When I came here, I already received the order that we will compensate for your losses. However, the plan still has to go on. Otherwise, this loss will be in vain. As long as the plan succeeds, we will give you a lot of benefits. The black-robed man said, Go on. It's easy for you to say. Who will be responsible for Tianyun's red blood cavalry? We can't afford to lose them. Yin Tianjue sneered. The red blood cavalry is not scary. The scary one is Tianyin. As long as Tianyin is dead, the red blood cavalry will fall apart. At that time, we will be able to destroy them easily. The black-robed man said. Oh, what's your plan? Yin Tianjue asked. The black-robed man sneered and said, Assassinate Tianyin. Assassinate? Tianyin is hiding among the 30,000 red blood cavalry, and there is a powerful expert following him. It's not easy to assassinate him, Yin Tianjue said. Then let's wait. I refuse to believe that Tianyin will just hide in his barracks. Your country is famous for its assassination techniques, and I'm sure you're more adept than I am. Besides, this time we'll be sending our strongest assassins to work with your country to kill Tianyin. The black-robed man's voice was filled with killing intent. Good. We will also send our strongest assassins to kill Tianyin. Also, I need to ask for reinforcements from His Majesty. I'm afraid that we won't be able to launch a large-scale attack in a short period of time. Yin Tianjue said. Don't worry. We can still afford to wait for 1 or 2 months. That's settled then. After the black faction member finished speaking, his figure moved, and he had already disappeared. Yin Tianjue thought for a while and then ordered, Summon the Yuan Ke twin killers to see me. Yes. Chapter 318. 3,000 miles northwest of Full Moon City, there was a quiet valley. Lu Ming appeared outside the valley. Then Lu Ming moved and went into the valley. After about 1,000 meters, Lu Ming stopped. In front of him, there was a huge blood cocoon floating in the air. The golden eye blood zombie is going to evolve. Lu Ming whispered. That's right, the blood cocoon in front of him was the golden eye blood zombie. Previously, Lu Ming had led the golden-eyed blood zombie and the red blood armored cavalry to kill hundreds of thousands of Een Moon soldiers. The golden-eyed blood zombie had absorbed too much blood and aura and had begun to evolve on the way back to Full Moon City. They could only find a quiet place to let it evolve. After Lu Ming returned to Full Moon City, he finished his business and rushed over to check on the situation. I don't know how long it will take for the golden eye blood zombie to evolve. Now it seems that the situation is stable. I'll go back to Full Moon City first and check on it later. Thinking of this, Lu Ming turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky. Soon after, he returned to Full Moon City. Greetings, Marquis Champion. Greetings, Marquis Champion. Once he returned to Full Moon City, the officials and the general of the mountain army bowed respectfully when they saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded in response. Soon, he returned to the Red Blood Army camp. Everything was normal. Hua Ying was indeed a good commander. Under his management, the Red Blood Cavalry and the other soldiers were cultivating hard. Lu Ming was very assured about this. In the Temple of Paragon, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. A huge stone tablet floated above his head. What was different was that there were 4 silver chakras around the tablet. That's right, Lu Ming's second bloodline had evolved. Lu Ming felt that the 9 Dragons bloodline had reached the limit of ordinary level 9, but it was difficult to evolve. No matter how much blood chi it refined, it was still at ordinary level 9. Therefore, Lu Ming had used the blood chi he had devoured to evolve his second bloodline. In that battle, he had devoured so much essence blood that his second bloodline had successfully evolved. His cultivation had also reached the peak of the 3rd layer martial ancestor realm. I don't know when the 9 Dragons bloodline will reach the king level. Forget it. I don't want to think about it. When the time comes, it will naturally come naturally. Right now, the 9 Dragons Heaven Step is the most important. Lu Ming pondered. After this period of cultivation, coupled with the continuous battles, Lu Ming finally had some understanding of the 9 Dragons' Heaven Stomping Steps. Lu Ming took out the secret manual of the 9 Dragons' Heaven Stomping Steps and read it carefully. Then he closed his eyes and carefully comprehended it. An hour later, Lu Ming suddenly stood up and casually stepped to the side. Whoa! At this time, Lu Ming's body seemed to resonate with the heavens and earth. His body emitted an inexplicable fluctuation that was extremely mysterious. What a strong pressure! At this moment, Lu Ming felt a terrifying pressure acting on his body. He felt as if his body was about to explode from the pressure. Dong! Finally, Lu Ming stepped on the ground. At this moment, the entire Temple of Paragon shook violently. The ground rumbled as if it was about to explode. Phew! After stepping on the ground, Lu Ming let out a long breath. The mysterious fluctuation on his body disappeared, and the pressure on his body disappeared without a trace. What a strong pressure! No wonder Supreme 9 Suns told me that I must break through the martial ancestor realm and my physical body reach the 4th layer before I can cultivate the 9 Dragons' Heaven Stomping Steps. If my physical body and cultivation don't meet the requirements, I'm afraid I'll explode from the pressure. Lu Ming sighed. However, his eyes were filled with excitement. I haven't completed the first step yet, but the power is already extremely shocking. The Supreme Divine Palace is indestructible, but it actually caused such a vibration. If I took a step on the ground, I'm afraid the ground would explode. Lu Ming was extremely satisfied with the power of the 9 Dragons' Heaven Stomping Steps. It was indeed a divine level martial skill. Continue. After that, Lu Ming continued to cultivate. He wanted to complete the first step of the 9 Dragons' Heaven Stomping Steps. Time flashed by, and another month passed. In a month, the Qixia cavalries had made incredible progress. With the continuous supply of medicinal pills, the remaining 30,000 Qixia cavalries had all broken through to the martial master realm. This had greatly increased the strength of the Qixia cavalries. Of course, the consumption of medicinal pills was also terrifying. 30,000 people had consumed the medicinal pills that were originally prepared for 100,000 people. That was why their cultivation had increased so quickly. Apart from the 30,000 Qixia cavalries, the other soldiers' cultivation had also increased a lot. The fastest one had increased his cultivation by 3 whole levels. The worst one had increased his cultivation by 1 level. Lu Ming's army of 80,000 people had become much stronger. During this month, the outside world had not been peaceful. It could be said that a storm was brewing. However, there were 2 people who had attracted the most attention. One was Duan Mulin. After being silent for many years, Duan Mulin had finally erupted. He had consecutively challenged 10 extremely famous Golden Grade disciples of the 5 great sections. He had won one battle after another. He had almost challenged the 6 heroes of the Blazing Sun Empire. Just when everyone thought that he would challenge the 6 heroes of the Blazing Sun Empire, he had stopped. This made many people wonder how strong Duan Mulin was. The other person was even more shocking. He was Qiu Changkong. For some reason, Qiu Changkong had a conflict with Gu Yuyan, who was ranked 22nd on the Emperor leaderboard. The result was shocking. In the end, it had ended with Gu Yuyan being killed. Qiu Changkong was ranked 36th on the Emperor leaderboard. However, he had killed Gu Yuyan, who was ranked 22nd. This was not only shocking in the Blazing Sun Empire, but also in the 36 empires of the Emperor leaderboard. Qiu Changkong's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. Among the 36 empires of the Emperor leaderboard, there were 8 middle-ranked empires. Of the 36 geniuses on the Emperor leaderboard, 32 of them were from the 8 middle-ranked empires. Only 4 of them were from the low-ranked empires. It was already shocking that Qiu Changkong could be ranked on the Emperor leaderboard. This had caused an even greater commotion. These 2 pieces of news naturally reached Lu Ming's ears. However, when Lu Ming heard it, he smiled faintly and continued to cultivate. There is movement from the golden eye. On this day, when Lu Ming was cultivating, he suddenly felt that something was wrong with the demon suppression token. It was emitting a faint light. Perhaps the golden eye has completed its evolution. Let's go and see how much the golden eye can improve. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with anticipation. The golden eye blood zombie was already at the peak of the 7th realm of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. If it evolved again, it would definitely be stronger. It would be a great help to Lu Ming. Lu Ming left the full moon city and turned into a ray of light. He headed toward the valley where the golden eye blood zombie was. Lu Ming did not notice that not long after he left the full moon city, a few figures in the distant grassland rushed into the sky and followed him. Soon, Lu Ming arrived at the valley and walked in. In front of him, the smell of blood was extremely strong. The blood cocoon was filled with blood light. When Lu Ming stepped into the valley, the blood light in front of him suddenly shrunk. Crack! Chapter 319. This figure was the golden eye blood zombie. However, it was slightly different from before. Its golden pupils had become even more dazzling, as if 2 pieces of gold had been embedded in them. The green hair on its skin had faded a lot, making its skin appear blood red and translucent. It looked like it was made of fiery red steel and was full of power. The aura of the golden eye blood zombie was more than 5 or 6 times stronger than before. How could it be so much stronger? This aura is definitely not the aura of an 8th level martial arts grandmaster. Could it be that the golden eye blood zombie has reached the 9th level martial arts grandmaster? Lu Ming's mind raced, and his eyes were filled with surprise. Roar! The golden eye blood zombie growled and came to Lu Ming's side. Let's go back to Full Moon City, Lu Ming said. Then, together with the golden-eye blood zombie, they shot into the sky and flew toward Full Moon City. However, before they had flown for more than 10 miles, Lu Ming suddenly felt a chill down his spine. Roar! At this moment, the golden-eye blood zombie let out an earth-shattering roar and rushed toward Lu Ming's head. Chi-chi! Above Lu Ming's head, a dark cloud suddenly split open. 2 pale white saber radiances, faster than lightning, slashed toward Lu Ming's head. Boom! Boom! The golden-eye blood zombie and the 2 saber radiances collided. Then the golden-eye blood zombie's body fell to the ground like a cannonball. Swoosh! Just as the 2 saber radiances slashed out, a black sword radiance pierced through the void behind Lu Ming and stabbed toward him. This sword was fast, accurate, ruthless, and terrifyingly powerful. 9th level martial arts Grandmaster. 3 9th level martial arts Grandmaster assassins. Block for me. Lu Ming roared furiously. 6 ancient shields condensed behind him and stacked together. However, Chi-chi, the 6 ancient shields were penetrated in an instant. However, this bought Lu Ming time. The second bloodline was activated instantly. He waved his left hand and a huge beast claw struck out. At the same time, he held the demon banishing spear in his right hand and stabbed it out. The spear was filled with the power of wind and fire. Bang! The first to bear the brunt was the giant beast claw, which was destroyed by the sword light. Following that, the tip of the demon banishing spear clashed with the sword light. Clang! A terrifying shockwave spread out, and Lu Ming gave a muffled groan as he was sent flying back several thousand meters. Only then did he stop in the air and spit out a mouthful of blood. Whoosh! 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 At this moment, 3 figures flashed and appeared in the air. 2 of them were middle-aged men wearing blood-red robes. One of them had a full moon embroidered on it, while the other had a chipped moon embroidered on it. Both of them held a scimitar in their hands. The 2 of them stood behind Lu Ming, blocking his path of retreat. The third person was wrapped in a black robe, and his appearance could not be seen. He held a thin and black sword in his hand. He was in front of Lu Ming, and the 3 of them had faintly sealed off Lu Ming's escape route. This Tianyan is indeed difficult to deal with. I can't even kill him. The middle-aged man with a flawless full moon embroidered on it spoke. His voice was cold and hoarse, extremely unpleasant to the ears. That's a golden-eyed blood zombie. What a powerful golden-eyed blood zombie. It seems to have reached the early 9th realm of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. It's not weaker than the 3 of us. The middle-aged man with a chipped moon embroidered on it said. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and rushed out from the ground, blocking in front of Lu Ming. There were 2 deep wounds on the golden-eyed blood zombie's claws, which were caused by the scimitar radiance. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. His gaze landed on the thin black sword in front of him. His eyes flashed as he said, You're from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion, right? He had seen that kind of sword more than once. Hee, since you're going to die today, there's no harm in telling you. You guessed right. I'm the top assassin of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion. It's your honor to have me. The black-robed man sneered. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion is actually cooperating with the Een Moon Empire. It seems that the Decimo Sword Sect is going to play a big game of chess. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Hee, you seem to know quite a lot. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin sneered. Charge! Suddenly, Lu Ming shouted softly and dashed to the left. What a joke! The 3 martial arts Grandmaster realm early-stage assassins were too strong. They were not people he could fight against. If he stayed, he would only die. Only by charging out would he have a chance of survival. Trying to escape? How is that possible? Die! The 3 assassins roared and attacked. 2 scimitars and 1 scimitar radiance pierced through the void and slashed toward Lu Ming. Fast, too fast. They were behind Lu Ming in an instant. The martial arts Grandmaster Realm Ninth Stage assassins were too strong. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie roared and rushed forward fearlessly. However, it was only one person after all. It was no match for the two scimitars and was sent flying again. If its body was not as tough as steel, it would have been cut into pieces. Clang! On the other side, Lu Ming used all his strength to exchange blows with the Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin. This time, Lu Ming was sent flying even further. He coughed up blood, and one of his arms was covered with scars. He felt as if his entire body was about to split open. This blow had caused him to be even more severely injured. Kill! The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin shouted coldly. His murderous intent surged as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Roar! The golden-eyed blood zombie rushed out from the ground again. Leave this beast to the two of us. You're in charge of killing Tianyin. Yuan Ke shouted coldly and charged toward the golden-eyed blood zombie. Don't worry. Tianyin will die. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin's voice was extremely cold. His scimitar radiance became sharper as it pierced through the sky. A sword scar that was a few miles long appeared in the sky, as if it was going to cut the sky apart. 9 dragons stomping the sky. Boom! At that moment, Lu Ming unleashed all his strength. His true chi surged as he roared into the sky and suddenly took a step forward. A strange wave of energy emanated from Lu Ming's body. Following that, a terrifying force exploded from Lu Ming's feet. A dragon's roar suddenly sounded. It was as if a supreme true dragon was stepping in the sky, crushing everything. After a month of hard work, he had finally mastered the first step of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Boom! This step collided with the Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin's scimitar radiance. With an earth-shattering boom, Lu Ming's body flew far away again. However, the Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin was also stunned by this blow and stopped. How is this possible? The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin let out a hysterical roar. He could not believe it. He could clearly see that Tianyin was only at the peak of the martial arts Grandmaster Third Realm, while he was at the early stage of the martial arts Grandmaster Ninth Realm. There was a difference of about 6 levels. It could be said that they were worlds apart. With such a huge difference, it was already a miracle that Ling Yin could survive 2 strikes of a scimitar. But now, Ling Yin had actually blocked his attack. This was simply a fantasy. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin had lived for so long, but he had never heard of such a thing. His self-confidence had been severely damaged. Die! 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 The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin roared and charged toward Lu Ming in a frenzy. Lu Ming's talent terrified him. 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. Lu Ming roared. This time, he did not step toward the Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin. Instead, he stepped toward the space behind him. As a divine martial technique, the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps was not only used for attacking. Chapter 320. With one step, Lu Ming's figure suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already 10 miles away. 10 miles in one step. This was the terrifying power of the 9 dragons' heaven-ascending steps. Moreover, Lu Ming had only mastered the first step. According to the records of the 9 dragons' heaven-ascending steps, when cultivated to the highest level, one would be like 9 dragons. With one step, one could travel hundreds of millions of miles. It was unimaginably powerful. Right now, Lu Ming was still far from it. Damn it, you can't escape. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin roared furiously and chased after Lu Ming. To a martial arts grandmaster, 10 miles was a matter of a few breaths. Without thinking, Lu Ming took another step. With a flash of his body, he moved as fast as lightning and crossed a distance of 10 miles under his feet. Puff! Suddenly, Lu Ming's body trembled, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. He was already severely injured. Using the 9 dragons' heaven-ascending steps consumed a lot of energy. Moreover, the pressure from heaven and earth was also extremely great. This caused his injuries to worsen. The difference was too great. There was no way he could fight back. He could only escape. Swoosh! Behind him, the Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin chased after him relentlessly. Even further behind, the GoldenEye Blood Zombie was holding Yuan K back. Tianyan, hand over your martial technique, and I'll leave your corpse intact. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin shouted. The martial technique Lu Ming used was too shocking. He was envious. If he could get it, how strong would his combat power be? His desire to kill Lu Ming grew even stronger. What a joke! If you have the ability, come and get it yourself. Lu Ming sneered and took another step. Buzz! Heaven and earth trembled slightly. Lu Ming's body was like a bolt of lightning sweeping across the void. In an instant he was 10 miles away, widening the distance between him and the Shadow Wolf Pavilion assassin. Damn it, damn it. I don't believe you can use such a powerful martial technique continuously. Today you must die. The assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion roared loudly, and a huge black wolf rose from his body. He chased after Lu Ming with all his might. Every time Lu Ming took a step forward, he would take 2 breaths and then take another step forward. It was these 2 breaths that allowed his opponent to close the distance between them. Just like this, one fled while the other chased. In the blink of an eye, they had crossed 1,000 miles. Lu Ming's body was bleeding profusely. The continuous use of the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps had caused him too much damage. His skin cracked open and blood flowed freely. The true qi in his body was becoming increasingly scarce, and he could not hold on for much longer. Suddenly, there was a burst of moisture in front of him. It was a great river that was incomparably wide, surging across the prairie. Day! Lu Ming's eyes flashed as he took another step along the river. 10 li away, Lu Ming looked ahead. The great river forked in front. Moreover, it wasn't a single fork, but rather a fan shape, opening up 5 forks, 5 branches, flowing towards the entire prairie, nurturing the creatures of the prairie. The heavens are helping me. Lu Ming was overjoyed. Without thinking, he plunged into the great river. The river was extremely deep, more than 100 meters deep. Lu Ming sank directly to the bottom of the river and swam rapidly forward. Swoosh! In just 4 to 5 breaths, the assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion appeared above the great river. Trying to escape? Dream on! Kill! The assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion shouted loudly as he slashed out with his battle sword. Dense and sharp sword qi shot toward the river. Instantly, the river surged, and many large fish were killed. Their corpses floated to the surface, and blood dyed the river red. Die, die! The assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion seemed to have gone mad as he continuously slashed out sword qi at the river. Boom! Boom! Sword qi shot out continuously, covering the entire river surface. At the bottom of the river, Lu Ming swam like a fish, dodging the sword qi. Splat! However, the sword qi was too dense, and one sword qi still pierced through Lu Ming's shoulder, almost chopping off his arm. Blood flowed profusely. Lu Ming snorted and continued to move forward. 5 forks appeared in front of him. Lu Ming chose one at random and swam down quickly. Above him, the assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion ravaged this part of the river as if he had gone mad. However, he still did not see Lu Ming's figure. Then he rushed into the river and started searching. After searching everywhere, he still could not find Lu Ming. When he reached the fork, his face was completely distorted. He did not know which fork Lu Ming had gone to. Moreover, it was impossible to chase after the enemy based on the aura in the river. The river water would disperse the aura. Swoosh! He rushed into the sky and looked around. Then he roared furiously, "Damn it! Damn it!" Lu Ming followed the river and swam down. He did not know how far he had drifted. Lu Ming felt more and more weak. His vision turned black, and he felt waves of intense pain all over his body. He knew that his injuries were too severe previously, and they were acting up now. No, I have to find a place to heal. Otherwise, I'll be in danger. Then, Lu Ming wiped his face and took off his disguise mask, revealing his true appearance. His body had already returned to its original state due to his injuries. Then he changed into a new set of clothes. Lu Ming continued to drift along the river for a while, in case the assassin from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion caught up to him. In the evening, a group of people hurried along the main road beside the Sioux River. There were more than 10 people. Most of them were burly middle-aged men. They exuded a heavy aura. It was obvious that they were martial arts experts. Riding at the front were 2 young people, a man and a woman. The man was handsome, but his long and narrow eyes gave people a gloomy feeling. The woman wore a long green dress. Her figure was graceful, and her curves were undulating. She was extremely beautiful. However, the woman seemed to have something on her mind. Her brows were tightly furrowed. "Stop!" Suddenly the woman shouted softly. She pulled the horse under her and made it stop. The others also stopped. "Mo-ing, why did you suddenly stop?" The young man asked with a frown. "There's someone ahead," Mo-ing said. The group looked ahead. Indeed, they saw a figure climbing out of the Sioux River. After the figure climbed onto the bank, he staggered as if he would fall down at any moment. "Yin and Yang!" The figure looked at everyone and suddenly screamed. Then he fell straight to the ground. "He's just a dying man. Why do you care so much about him? Let's hurry back to Tiansu City. The young prince came specially to see you. Don't keep him waiting." The young man casually glanced at the figure and said nonchalantly, "I want to save him." After saying that, Mo-ing jumped off her horse and walked toward the figure. "What? You want to save him? You want to save a piece of trash like him?" the young man shouted. However, he did not see the shock in Mo-ing's eyes. "How did he know? Can he cure me? I'm the only one who knows about this. But this person can tell at a glance. I must save him." Mo-ing thought as she helped the figure up. She was slightly shocked when she saw him. "He's so young." The figure who climbed out of the river was naturally Lu Ming. He drifted along the river for a while. Unexpectedly, his injuries were more serious than he thought. Chapter 321. Lu Ming tried his best to climb to the shore, but he was already exhausted and could faint at any time. But then he saw Mo-ing and the others. The moment he saw Mo-ing, his 9 dragons bloodline throbbed for some reason. He could clearly feel the cultivation situation in Mo-ing's body. Mo-ing's bloodline was definitely related to dragons. He realized that there were 2 types of qi in Mo-ing's body. That was why he screamed before he fainted. His purpose was to attract Mo-ing's attention. Mo-ing would definitely not abandon him and save him out of curiosity. He guessed right. Mo-ing was very curious about him. Mo-ing, there is no fluctuation of genuine qi in this person. He is obviously an ant. Why save him? Leave him here and follow me back to Sutian City. It will be hard to explain to the young prince if he waits for too long. At this time, the young man walked over and glanced at Lu Ming, urging him. Mo-bing. Mo-ing's face flashed with displeasure. She shouted coldly, "If you are in a hurry to return to Sutian City, you can go back first. Also, I am not going back to Sutian City to see the young prince. I just want to go back. There is no need to explain to anyone. If you want to explain, do it yourself. Also, this person is seriously injured. If I don't save him, he will not live for long. I must save him." Mo-ing's tone was resolute. "You." Mo-bing's face was livid. Then, he glared at Lu Ming viciously and turned to leave. Mo-ing looked at Lu Ming and frowned slightly. Lu Ming's injuries were too serious. This person is definitely a martial artist. Maybe he has exhausted his genuine qi. Otherwise, how could he see the abnormality in my body at a glance? but this person's injuries are too serious. I am afraid it will not be easy to save him." Mo Ing thought for a while, took out a fragrant pill, and fed it to Lu Ming. The pill melted in his mouth and turned into energy that flowed into Lu Ming's body. After a while, Lu Ming's face became a little rosier. "Come, help him onto the horse. We will go slowly," Mo Ing ordered. "Yes, Miss Ing." A middle-aged man stepped forward and helped Lu Ming onto a horse, letting Lu Ming lie on the horse. After that, Mo Ing got on her horse and moved forward at a speed that was not much faster than a normal person's walking speed. "Mo Ing, you're doing this on purpose, aren't you? You're walking so slowly on purpose. Have you thought about the consequences of standing Little Prince up? Little Prince is the son of our Inuit Empire's Jinan Prince." Mo Bing shouted coldly, "You keep calling me Little Prince. I'm not Little Prince's dog. I can see whoever I want. I can walk as slowly as I want. No one can stop me. I've said before, if you're impatient, you can go back first." Mo Ing replied coldly with a hint of mockery. "What did you say?" Mo Bing was furious, but Mo Ing sneered and ignored him. "Little bitch, just because you have some talent, you think you're a proud daughter of the heavens. Just you wait. One day, I'll make you regret what you said today." Mo Bing roared in his heart, but he did not say it out loud. The group moved forward at a leisurely pace. Half a day later, Lu Ming woke up. As soon as he woke up, he felt a stabbing pain all over his body. "I've been cut by the Silver Wolf Pavilion Assassin's sword chi and the pressure from using the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps. My muscles and bones are all cracked. Fortunately, my internal organs are not seriously injured. I should be able to recover soon." Lu Ming secretly observed his injuries and pondered in his heart. Then Lu Ming struggled to sit up and circulated the true dragon battle chant to heal his injuries. At first, he did not use any true chi, but after circulating the true dragon battle chant several times, a wisp of true chi began to appear in his body. With the circulation of the true dragon battle chant, the true chi in his body increased. On the side, Mo Ing looked at Lu Ming and did not disturb him. On the other side, Mo Bing glanced at Lu Ming and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. He thought, so he's a martial artist. This time it's all because of him that we're late. When we get back to Su Tian City, I'll teach him a lesson. 2 hours later, Lu Ming had recovered 1% of his true chi. At this time, he took out 2 spirit crystals and held them in his hand to speed up the recovery of true chi. The wounds on his body were healing rapidly. At the same time, the internal injuries deep in his body were also slowly healing. This was the benefit of having a strong body. His body had reached the 5th grade, so his recovery and vitality were extremely amazing. If an ordinary person suffered such injuries, they would have died several times over. Half a day later, Lu Ming barely recovered 1/20th of his true chi. The injuries on his body were also much better, and there were no more bursts of stabbing pain. "How's your recovery?" At this time, Mo Ing rode over and asked. "It's a little better. This time, thank you for saving my life. Lu Ming will remember it in his heart." Lu Ming clasped his fist and said, "This was the Inuit Empire. Of course, he could not use the name Tianyin, or he would be killed on the spot. So, he simply used the name Lu Ming. You don't have to thank me. It's just a small matter." Mo Ing pondered for a while and asked in a low voice, "Young Master Lu Ming, before you fell unconscious, you shouted that qi is divided into yin and yang. What do you mean?" Finally, you can't help it. Lu Ming smiled in his heart and said, "You know the answer. If I'm not wrong, your bloodline should be related to the dragon. But in the process of cultivation, there is a problem. The true qi you cultivate is biased toward yin, but there is yang true qi in your bloodline. So, yin and yang are not in harmony, which often causes you to suffer." Lu Ming spoke very softly, and only Mo Ing could hear him. After hearing this, Mo Ying's eyes lit up. She was very surprised and said, "Young master, you can see it at a glance. It's completely correct. My bloodline is the cloud dragon. Like the flood dragon, I have the bloodline of the true dragon. But I don't know why there is yang true qi, which repeatedly interferes with my cultivation. I wonder if young master has a way to solve it?" After saying that, she looked at Lu Ming with a hopeful face. She had secretly looked for famous doctors and some famous inscriptionists, but she could not find a solution. She had been in despair, but now there was hope. "It shouldn't be difficult. As long as you suppress the yang true qi and take it out, it will be fine. But to do this, you have to wait until my injuries are healed." Lu Ming said, "Really? Well, I will buy the best elixir to let you recover as soon as possible." Mo Ying was overjoyed. Lu Ming nodded. He planned to go to Su Tian City with Mo Ying first. After his injuries were healed, he would return to Full Moon City. Otherwise, with his current situation, he wouldn't even be able to fly. If he were to encounter a slightly stronger demonic beast along the way, he would become its food. That would be too unjust. Not far away, Mo Bing saw Mo Ying talking to Lu Ming as if they were very close. He immediately roared in his heart, "This little bitch is really a slut. She must have taken a fancy to this little bastard. Humph! When we reach Su Tian City, I will report to the young master. Let's see how you will die." Chapter 3:22. The Yin Moon Empire and the Burning Sun Empire were completely different. In the Yin Moon Empire, the royal family was extremely powerful and controlled everything. Below them, there were a series of powerful aristocratic families that obeyed the royal family and ruled over thousands of miles of land. Su Tiancheng was extremely majestic and was one of the top 10 cities in the Yin Moon Empire. The Mo family in Su Tiancheng was also extremely prosperous and ranked in the top 10 among the aristocratic families in the Yin Moon Empire. Along the way, Lu Ming learned a lot of information. For example, Mo Ying was originally a collateral disciple of the Mo family. However, she was extremely talented and was heavily nurtured by the Mo family. Now, she was already one of the top 5 geniuses in the Mo family, and her cultivation had reached the first level of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. With such a status, she would be treated well in the Mo family. She had her own courtyard and more than 10 servants. Once they returned to the Mo family, Mo Ying brought Lu Ming to her courtyard so that Lu Ming could recover better. In a guest room in Mo Ying's courtyard, Lu Ming sat cross-legged. With a wave of his hand, a pile of spiritual herbs and spiritual medicine appeared beside him. Here, Lu Ming could finally relax and recover to his heart's content. Immediately, he activated the 10,000 spirit battle body and turned the spiritual herbs and spiritual medicine into 10,000 spirit qi. The 10,000 spirit qi seeped into his body and quickly healed Lu Ming's injured body. Lu Ming's body was recovering rapidly. A few hours later, Lu Ming finished healing his body and activated the True Dragon of Combat skill to recover his genuine qi. When he finished cultivating, it was already evening. Knock, knock, there was a knock on the door. Lu Ming opened the door and saw Mo Ying. Apparently, Mo Ying had just finished washing up. Her hair was still wet and stuck to her face. She had changed into a black gauze dress, and her graceful figure was faintly discernible under the gauze dress. She was extremely seductive. Mo Ying was indeed very beautiful. Among the women that Lu Ming had seen, Mo Ying was only slightly inferior to Xian Yanqing, Xian Yanjuan, Autumn Moon, and Mulins. She was a rare beauty. "Brother Lu, these are the healing elixirs that I just bought. Take them." Mo Ying took out a few jade bottles and handed them to Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not stand on ceremony either. He received the jade bottle and said with a smile, "Many thanks, Miss Mo. There's no need to be so polite. I won't disturb Brother Lu's recuperation." Mo Ying did not say much. She said a few words of courtesy and turned to leave. After Mo Ying left, Lu Ming raised his head and looked towards the north. That direction was the depths of the Mo family. For some reason, as soon as Lu Ming arrived at the Mo family, he felt that there was something in the depths of the Mo family that was attracting him. To be precise, it was attracting the 9 dragons' bloodline, making it feel as if it was cheering. What exactly does the Mo family have? It actually caused the 9 dragons' bloodline to jump for joy. Looks like I'll have to stay in the Mo family for a while longer. Lu Ming looked in that direction, deep in thought. After pondering for a while, Lu Ming returned to his room to recuperate. Just like that, 5 days passed in the blink of an eye. After 5 days of recuperation, Lu Ming's injuries had completely healed and his cultivation had returned to its peak state. To be able to fully recover from such a serious injury in just 5 days was extremely shocking. This was completely dependent on the divine level cultivation method, true dragon tactics, and his rank 5 physical body. In these 5 days, Emoing often came to visit him, but she did not mention a word about treating him. I wonder what the local customs of the Inuit Empire are like. It's rare for me to come here. I'll take a look. Lu Ming smiled, then walked out of Mo Ying's courtyard and casually strolled around Su Tian City. Su Tian City was really big. In the Burning Sun Empire, among all the cities that Lu Ming had seen, only the Burning Sun Empire was bigger than Su Tian City. On the streets, there was an endless stream of powerful martial artists. Around the streets, there was a forest of shops. There were all kinds of strange things, some of which were specialties of the Inuit Empire. Lu Ming had only seen them in books before. Now that he saw the real thing, he could not help but buy some. "Little bastard, stop right there." Lu Ming had just strolled for a while when a cold voice came from behind. Lu Ming turned around, and a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth. Wasn't that Mo Bing? Mo Bing's face was gloomy as he strode towards Lu Ming with 4 big men. "Little bastard, who are you calling?" Lu Ming said lightly. "Of course, little bastard is calling you." Mo Bing said coldly. "Oh, so it's little bastard calling me. Hello, little bastard." Lu Ming said with a smile. "You." Only then did Mo Bing react. His face was livid. The 4 big men behind him almost could not hold back their laughter. But looking at their slightly trembling body, it was obvious that they had a hard time holding back their laughter. "You have a sharp tongue. Do you want to die?" Mo Bing's face was incomparably ugly. He stared coldly at Lu Ming and said, "I think your injuries have almost healed. In that case, quickly get out of the Mo family. Mo Ying's courtyard is not a place where you can stay. The longer you stay, the more miserable your death will be." "Oh, is that so? I'd like to try." Lu Ming smiled, not caring at all. "Brat, have you taken a fancy to that girl Emoing? Do you want to hit on her? Let me tell you, that girl Emoing is someone that the young prince likes. If anyone wants to hit on her, he will be going against the young prince. Only death awaits him." Mo Bing threatened. "Little prince, who does he think he is?" Lu Ming said lightly. Mo Bing's face suddenly changed, and he shouted, "Boy, you're courting death. Men, break his legs and throw him out of Su Tiancheng." Yes, behind Mo Bing, the 4 big men responded in unison. They took large strides forward, emitting powerful auras as they closed in on Lu Ming. 9th layer martial master realm. The 4 big men were all 9th layer martial masters. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 4 big men attacked together, aiming at Lu Ming's hands and feet. They were going to cripple his limbs in one blow. Bang! 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 In the next moment, for crisp sounds could be heard. For tall figures were sent flying far away and fell to the ground. Each of them hugged an arm and cried out in agony. It was the 4 big men. At this moment, one of their arms was twisted into a fried dough twist, broken into 7 or 8 pieces. Mo Bing was stunned. He kept blinking his eyes, thinking that he was dreaming. The 4 martial artists at the 9th level martial master realm had their arms broken in an instant and were sent flying. He did not even see how Lu Ming did it. How was this possible? This person that they had randomly bumped into on the side of the road who was about to die was so strong. Was he a martial ancestor realm genius? You said you were going to break my legs? Lu Ming smiled and walked toward Mo Bing. Mo Bing's expression changed greatly. He could not help but retreat and shouted, What are you trying to do? I'm an elite disciple of the Mo clan. These servants can't compare to me. If you dare to touch me, I won't let you leave Su Tianqing. However, Lu Ming was not moved at all. He walked toward Mo Bing step by step. Cold sweat started to appear on Mo Bing's face. His eyes were filled with fear. In the end, he screamed and turned to run. Lu Ming smiled coldly. He flicked his finger and shot out a few streams of energy, hitting Mo Bing's legs. Chapter 3:23. Both of Mo Bing's legs were broken by Lu Ming and blood flowed out. Mo Bing wailed again, and even tears flowed out. Around them, a large number of onlookers were shocked. Mo Bing was a genius disciple of the Mo family and was very famous in Su Tian City. Who was this person who dared to break his legs? Many people looked at Lu Ming and secretly guessed, What are you shouting for? Now get out of here. Lu Ming shouted angrily. The 4 burly men struggled to get up as if they had been pardoned. They used the other hand to support Mo Bing and ran away. Lu Ming did not care and continued to stroll on the street. After strolling for a while, he went back. As soon as he returned to Mo Ying's courtyard, he ran into Mo Ying. Brother Lu, have you recovered from your injury? Mo Ying asked. Lu Ming nodded and said with a smile, It's almost healed. That. Mo Ying stammered, wanting to say something but hesitated. Lu Ming smiled and said, Let's go and see how the true qi in your body is. Okay. Mo Ying was overjoyed. Then to my bedroom? Or to your bedroom? Lu Ming asked. Mo Ying was stunned, and then her face turned red. After pondering for a while, she whispered, Let's go to my bedroom. Lu Ming nodded and walked to her bedroom with Mo Ying. Mo Ying's bedroom was decorated very elegantly with a faint fragrance. The 2 sat cross-legged on the bed. Miss Mo, there may be some presumptuous actions later. Please forgive me, Lu Ming said. Presumptuous actions? Mo Ying's face turned even redder, and her big eyes were misty. Lu Ming was speechless. This girl was too shy. I haven't started anything yet. Mo Ying took a deep breath, as if she was going to throw caution to the wind, and said firmly, Go ahead, I'm fine with anything. Anything? Lu Ming's heart could not help but flutter. A man and a woman alone in a room, and a young and beautiful girl said, Go ahead, I'm fine with anything. This was too much for one's imagination to run wild. I didn't mean that. When Mo Ying thought about it, even her ears turned red. The 2 of them stared at each other for a long time before they slowly calmed down. Then, Lu Ming and Mo Ying's palms touched each other. Lu Ming channeled a stream of true qi into Mo Ying's body. Mo Ying's genuine qi was strong and condensed, and it was unusually cold. However, within the cold true energy, there were traces of blazing true energy that intertwined with the cold true energy. In this way, Mo Ying's genuine qi would not be pure, which would greatly interfere with her cultivation. Sometimes she would even experience alternating between hot and cold, which would be extremely painful. Only by removing the blazing genuine qi could Mo Ying's shackles be lifted. By then, Mo Ying's cultivation speed would be even faster. As expected, the true qi nurtured by the cloud dragon can actually take the form of a dragon. Lu Ming discovered that Mo Ying's cold and blazing true qi were both in the shape of dragons, intertwining with each other like tiny dragons. It was very similar to the true qi cultivated by the true dragon battle art. However, the dragon-shaped true chi cultivated by the true dragon battle art was more lifelike and lifelike. After observing for a while, Lu Ming withdrew his genuine chi. "Brother Lu, how is it? Can you get rid of the yang attribute genuine chi?" Emoing asked nervously. This was related to her future path of martial arts. Of course, she was nervous. Lu Ming nodded and said, "It shouldn't be a big problem. The two types of genuine chi are too deeply intertwined. It can't be completely removed in a day or two. I estimate that it will take about 10 days. It's okay, it's okay. It's worth it no matter how much time it takes," Emoing said excitedly. She had endured it for more than 10 years. Why would she care about 10 days? "Well, that's good. Take off your clothes," Lu Ming said. "Okay." "Huh? What? Take off my clothes?" Emoing nodded subconsciously. When she came to her senses, she let out a deafening scream. "Well, I need to directly suppress your blood meridians from your spine. That's the only way to get rid of the yang attribute genuine chi," Lu Ming explained helplessly. Emoying's face turned red. After pondering for a while, she gritted her teeth and turned her back to Lu Ming. Then, she slowly took off her clothes. Suddenly, a jade-like body appeared in front of Lu Ming. Although it was only her back, the amazing curves were still visible. Lu Ming's heart raced, and he almost lost control. Lu Ming desperately looked away. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. Then he stretched out his palm and placed it on Emoying's back. When he touched it, it was delicate and smooth. It was as if he was touching a piece of nephrite. Emoying's delicate body trembled. She moaned, and her body became hot. Even her back turned red. Buzz! At this moment, Emoying's back trembled slightly. A strong blood-red light was emitted. Roar! A cloud dragon that was as white as jade emerged and roared at Lu Ming. "How dare you!" Lu Ming narrowed his eyes, and the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. It was only in the shape of a python. However, when the cloud dragon saw the 9 dragons' bloodline, it seemed to be terrified. It wailed and sank into Emoying's back. It did not dare to move. "Devour!" Lu Ming's palm exuded a powerful devouring force. He pressed it against Emoying's back, and the devouring force gushed out. The yang-type true chi in Emoying's genuine chi was instantly extracted and refined by Lu Ming. Although it was not very fast, it was very stable. Emoying's delicate body trembled slightly. Fine beads of sweat appeared on her smooth back. 2 hours later, Lu Ming stopped. Phew! Emoying let out a long breath. Then, she carefully observed her genuine chi. She was so excited that her body trembled. "It's really been extracted. It's really been extracted." Emoying turned around excitedly and looked at Lu Ming with excitement and gratitude. However, Lu Ming's eyes widened and he stared straight at her chest. "Ah!" Emoying screamed again. Only then did she realize that she had not put on her clothes yet. She hurriedly put on her clothes. Her pretty face was as red as an apple. Lu Ming coughed awkwardly. If he had not told Emoying's servants not to barge in, Emoying's servants would have barged in by now. This time, only a part of it has been extracted. It will take another 8 or 9 days. Lu Ming changed the topic. "Thank you, Lu Ming." Emoying had forgotten her embarrassment. She was extremely excited. The problem that had troubled her for many years was finally going to be solved. "Let's continue tomorrow." Lu Ming smiled. Okay." Emoying nodded cheerfully. In the following days, Lu Ming spent 2 hours every day to help Emoying extract the yang qi. In the blink of an eye, 7 days had passed. The yang qi in Emoying's body was almost completely extracted. Emoying's genuine qi suddenly became several times faster and smoother. She even broke through a realm and reached the 2nd realm of martial arts grandmaster. On the 8th day, just as Lu Ming was extracting the remaining yang qi from Emoying, There was a sudden noise and screams outside. Young master, missing is really cultivating. Chapter 3:24. Get lost. How dare a few lowly ants block the young prince's way? Are you tired of living? An old man with a big belly scolded. With a slap, Mo Ying's servants were sent flying far away and fell to the ground. One side of their faces was swollen and blood was flowing from their mouths. Behind the old man with a big belly, a young man in luxurious clothes with a sinister face walked in. Spare my life, young prince. I'm not lying. Miss Mo Ying is cultivating in seclusion. She told us not to disturb her no matter what. A servant girl in her 20s knelt on the ground and said, trembling, not to disturb her? Who does Mo Ying think she is? It's her blessing that the young prince came to see her personally. What's more important than the young prince? Hurry up and report it. Otherwise, I'll kill all of you. The old man with a big belly shouted coldly and looked at the servant girl with a ferocious expression. Young prince, Miss Mo is really... Before the servant girl could continue, the old man with a big belly lost his patience and shouted, You're courting death! Bam! The old man with a big belly slapped the other side of the servant girl's face. The servant girl screamed and flew far away. When she fell to the ground, she was already unconscious. When the other servants saw this, they were trembling in fear. Hurry up and ask your miss to come out. Otherwise, she'll be the next example. The old man with a big belly pointed at the servant girl and said coldly, Creak. At this moment, Mo Ying's door opened. Lu Ming and Mo Ying walked out of the room. When the young prince saw Lu Ming and Mo Ying walking out of Mo Ying's room together, he was stunned. Then his handsome face was completely distorted. He pointed at Lu Ming and screamed, Little bastard, how dare you enter Mo Ying's room? What are the two of you doing in there? Damn it. And you, little bitch, I'm here to see you. Not only did you stand me up, you even shut yourself in for 7 days and refused to see me. I was wondering why. So it turns out that you're together with this little bastard. I'm going to kill you all. Hey, who are you? Why are you barking like a mad dog? Did you take the wrong medicine? Also, the two of us aren't married yet. We're just hiding in our rooms and doing what we need to do. What does that have to do with you? Lu Ming said indifferently as he glanced sideways at the young prince. The little prince almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming actually dared to talk to him like that. Did he eat a flood dragon's gallbladder? Also, the little prince really wanted to yell that it was none of his fucking business. Of course, he forced himself to hold back. Brett, do you know who I am? The little prince took a deep breath and said slowly. He reckoned that Lu Ming still didn't know who he was. He wanted to announce his name to scare Lu Ming. At that time, he would kill Lu Ming and let him know what regret was. Who are you? What does that have to do with me? Lu Ming said indifferently. You! The little prince was stunned. He took a deep breath to calm himself down and said, Listen carefully. I'm the only son of the Jinnan prince, the little prince of the Jinnan prince's residence. Then the little prince looked at Lu Ming proudly, hoping to see fear, panic, and fear on Lu Ming's face. Unfortunately, he was disappointed. Lu Ming didn't react at all, as if he had heard the name of a cat or a dog. Lu Ming said indifferently, So you're the son of the Jinnan prince. It turns out that the sons of the Jinnan prince are all idiots. What did you say? You're courting death. You're courting death. The little prince was trembling with anger. He pointed at Lu Ming and kept shouting, Abai. At this time, Mo Ying rushed to the front of the unconscious servant girl and checked her injuries. Then she looked at the little prince angrily and said, Little prince, Abai was just following my orders. Aren't you too heavy-handed? Heavy-handed? Mo Ying, she's just a lowly servant girl. She doesn't know her place. How dare she make excuses in front of me? I'm disciplining her for you. The little prince gritted his teeth to calm himself down and said coldly, You, Mo Ying's face was livid with anger. What place? You keep calling others lowly. In my opinion, you're just a good-for-nothing who relies on your father's power. Lu Ming said indifferently. How dare you? You lowly ant. How dare you call me a good-for-nothing? You're offending your superiors and committing a heinous crime. No one can save you today. I swear I'm not a man if I don't kill you. The little prince screamed hysterically. Lu Ming dared to call him a good-for-nothing? A lowly ant dared to call him a good-for-nothing. Rebellion, rebellion, isn't it? You think you're superior to others. What do you rely on? Power or strength? Lu Ming sneered. I have power and strength. I'm born noble. How can you lowly ants compare to me? The little prince yelled. Is that so? If that's the case, you're just a piece of lowly shit in front of me. Lu Ming said. What did you say? Damn it. Kill him. I'm going to grind his bones to dust, skin him, and pull out his tendons. The little prince screamed crazily. Die, you little bastard. The pot-bellied old man had been holding back for a long time. At this moment, he roared and slapped Lu Ming's face. Although he was fat, he was as fast as lightning. His cultivation had reached the third martial ancestor realm. In an instant, he was close to Lu Ming and was about to slap Lu Ming's face. Brother Lu, be careful. Dodge! Mo Ying exclaimed. However, Lu Ming stood there motionlessly. Just as the pot-bellied old man's slap was about to land on Lu Ming's face, Lu Ming kicked out. It was impossible to describe how fast this kick was. When the kick was sent out, it arrived first, even though it was launched later. It landed heavily on the round belly of the pot-bellied old man. His stomach had sunk in like a rubber ball, and his eyeballs were popping out like a dead fish. Ah! With a scream, the pot-bellied old man flew backward like a bloated rubber ball. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved and caught up with the pot-bellied old man in an instant, giving him a slap. Slap! A crisp slap was heard. The pot-bellied old man was sent spinning in the air by Lu Ming's slap and landed heavily on the ground. Boom! A human-shaped pit appeared on the ground. The pot-bellied old man was lying in the pit and twitching nonstop. Blood kept flowing out of his mouth. The whole place was silent. Everyone stared blankly at Lu Ming, including Mo Ying. The pot-bellied old man of the third martial ancestor realm was beaten half to death by Lu Ming as if he was an ant. Lu Ming was such a terrifying expert. Previously, although Mo Ying knew that Lu Ming was very powerful, she had originally guessed that Lu Ming should only be slightly stronger than her. However, at this moment she knew that she was wrong. Ridiculously wrong. Lu Ming's strength was far beyond her imagination. Well done! Mo Ying's subordinates roared in their hearts. They were extremely satisfied. Previously, the pot-bellied old man was so arrogant and treated them like ants. Now he was like a dead dog. Little bastard, how dare you hit my man? How dare you? Chapter 325. Who said I only hit your men? Lu Ming smiled and stepped toward the young prince. The young prince's expression changed greatly. He shouted in disbelief. What are you doing? How dare you hit me? You're offending your superior. You're treacherous. Slap. Lu Ming slapped him in the face. The young prince didn't even have time to react before he was slapped in the face by Lu Ming. He didn't stop until he spun 3 times on the ground. He stared at Lu Ming in a daze. He was completely dumbfounded. Lu Ming really dared to hit him? In the Inuit Empire, the royal family had supreme authority. His father, Zhennan, was the commander of all the troops in the south of the Inuit Empire. It could be said that he was second only to one person. As the only son of Zhennan, his status was so noble that no one dared to disobey him, let alone hit him. He even doubted that he was dreaming. However, the piercing pain on his face told him that this was real and not a dream. Therefore, he screamed hysterically, Ah! How dare you hit me? How dare you hit me? You're dead. Your whole family is dead. No one can save you. Slap. Lu Ming slapped him again on the other side of his face. The young prince saw stars and was completely dumbfounded. He forced himself to swallow back a string of vicious words. You said that you had power and strength and were superior to others. You regarded others as lowly ants and could bully them at will. But now I'm stronger than you, so you're also an ant in front of me. Am I wrong to say that you're a piece of lowly shit? Lu Ming stared at the young prince and said coldly, I. The young prince's face was swollen like a pig's head. He looked at Lu Ming in horror. No matter how stupid he was, he could see that Lu Ming was not afraid of him at all. He didn't know what to say for a moment. What? You don't dare to speak? Where's your courage just now? Lu Ming's eyes were like two sharp swords as he stared at the young prince. The young prince felt a chill run down his spine. He retreated and shouted, What are you doing? My royal father's army is not far from Sutian City. If you dare to touch me, not only will you die, the Mo family will also be buried with you. Really? Then I'll kill you first. Let's see what your father can do to me. Lu Ming sneered, completely unmoved. He took a step forward, and a cold killing intent erupted, making the scene seem like it was winter. No! No! Two shouts rang out at the same time. One of them came from the young prince. He screamed in horror and was almost scared out of his wits. The other one came from Mo Ying. Lu Ming frowned slightly and stopped in his tracks. Brother Lu, he is, after all, the son of the South Protecting Prince. If he dies in the Mo clan, the South Protecting Prince will be enraged and raze the Mo clan to the ground. Please spare his life, Brother Lu. Mo Ying pleaded. Lu Ming nodded and looked at the young prince. He scolded. Seeing that Miss Mo Ying pleaded for you, I'll spare your life. Get lost. The young prince felt as if he had been pardoned. He ignored the pot-bellied old man and ran away, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not continue to attack. It was not that he wanted to let the tiger go back to the mountain. As Mo Ying said, he was not afraid of killing the young prince, but it would definitely implicate Mo Ying and the Mo family. Brother Lu, I've implicated you. Mo Ying walked to Lu Ming's side and said apologetically, Haha, what does this have to do with you? It's normal to meet brainless idiots everywhere. Lu Ming smiled. Then they helped Ah Bai treat her injuries. Not long after, an angry roar came from a luxurious mansion in Sutian City. Damned little bitch. Damned bastard, die. Die. Damn it. If I don't kill you, I swear I'm not a man. In a hall, the young prince's face was ferocious. He roared again and again, smashing the tables and chairs in the hall. On both sides of the hall, there were 5 or 6 figures standing. They did not even dare to breathe. After a while, the young prince, Yin Jiufeng, gradually calmed down. Young prince, it's all because of that little bastard called Lu Ming. I don't know what kind of drug he used on Mo Ying. When Mo Ying saw him, she seemed to be fascinated. It's really hateful. A gloomy voice sounded. It was Mo Bing. At this time, his legs were still wrapped in thick plaster. Obviously, the legs that were broken by Lu Ming had not recovered. Mo Ying, that little bitch. I thought she was a chaste woman, but she turned out to be a slut. Seeing that she was about to die, I wanted to have sex with her first. It's a pity that such a beauty died like that. Now that she's with that little bastard, I can't wait to kill her immediately. The young prince, Yin Jiufeng, said with a gloomy face, Young prince, Mo Ying, that bitch, won't live for long anyway. But that Lu Ming, I didn't expect his cultivation to be so high. How should we deal with him? Mo Bing asked. It doesn't matter. I'll send a message to my father and ask him to send a master over. At that time, I'll make him beg for death. Yin Jiufeng gritted his teeth and said gloomily. In the next few days, Lu Ming continued to deprive Mo Ying of her yang qi. 3 days later, the yang qi in Mo Ying's body had been completely expelled. Mo Ying was relieved. Her chi became very active. Every day, her face glowed and became more beautiful. The Mo family martial arts field was the place where the Mo family disciples cultivated. As soon as Mo Ying's yang qi was expelled, she took Lu Ming to the Mo family martial arts field. In the middle of the Mo family martial arts field, there was a huge stone pillar. The stone pillar was crystal clear, like jade. At first glance, one could tell that it was not ordinary. Brother Lu, this stone pillar can test my compatibility with the Mo family's ancestral inheritance. The higher the compatibility, the more I can get the Mo family's ancestral inheritance. In the past, when my yang qi was not expelled, I was the one with the highest compatibility with the ancestral inheritance among the younger generation of the Mo family. Now that the yang qi is expelled, I want to see how compatible I am with the Mo family's ancestral inheritance. Mo Ying obviously trusted Lu Ming and had no reservations about Lu Ming. The Mo family's ancestral inheritance? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but look into the depths of the Mo family. That place was the place where the 9 dragons' bloodline cheered. He didn't know if it had anything to do with the Mo family's ancestral inheritance. Mo Ying came to the stone pillar and immediately attracted the attention of some of the Mo family members nearby. Is Mo Ying going to test her compatibility with the ancestral inheritance again? She's already the highest among the younger generation. The ancestral inheritance belongs to her. What's the point of testing? Yes, her compatibility with the ancestral inheritance is as high as 5 stars. Moreover, the compatibility is innate. It won't increase over time. I really don't understand why she's here to test again. Around them, some of the Mo family members were discussing. Mo Ying ignored them. She placed her palm on the stone pillar, and there was a flash of blood on her spine. Buzz! Chapter 326. Everyone from the Mo family was stunned. Their faces were filled with disbelief. After a while, there was a heated discussion. 6 stars. Mo Ying's compatibility with the ancestors' legacy has reached 6 stars. How is that possible? She used to have 5 stars. Unbelievable. The compatibility with the ancestors' legacy can be improved? I've never heard of such a thing. Even the ancient books have never recorded such a thing. Unbelievable. I'm so envious. Some of the young people from the Mo family were already incoherent. Creak! A white-haired old man walked out from a loft beside the martial arts arena. The old man was overjoyed when he saw Mo Ying condensing 6 stars on the stone pillar. He muttered, 6 stars, that's great. I've tried so many times, and this is the most compatible one. This time, it will definitely succeed. Great things can be expected. When the time comes, the Mo family status will definitely rise by a lot. In the martial arts practice field, Lu Ming saw the stone pillar shining, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes. When the stone pillar shone, he felt the 9 dragons' bloodline in his body stirring. It was very strange. At that moment, Mo Ying retracted her palm and looked delighted. True Qi has become pure. The compatibility with the ancestors' legacy has increased. Mo Ying said happily. Lu Ming looked at the stone pillar and suddenly lifted his leg and walked toward it. What is Brother Lu doing? Mo Ying was stunned. Then she saw Lu Ming reaching out his palm and placing it on the stone pillar. Is Brother Lu trying to test it? But this is the testing stone pillar of the Mo family. What's the use of him testing it? Mo Ying thought to herself. The other members of the Mo family were even more shocked. Who is this kid? What is he trying to do? This is the stone pillar used by the Mo family to test the compatibility of the ancestors' legacy. What is he doing? Is this kid trying to test the compatibility of the ancestors' legacy too? What a joke. He's an outsider. Brat, stop right now. The members of the Mo family at the side started to speak. Some of them even sneered. But in the next moment, buzz! The testing stone pillar shook violently and emitted a bright light. The light was more dazzling than the one caused by Mo Ying just now. Then, the light condensed into stars in the air. 1, 2, 8 stars. In the end, a total of 8 stars were formed. The eyes of all the MO family members almost popped out of their sockets. Their bulging eyes were filled with disbelief. Each and every one of them trembled as they pointed at Lu Ming, unable to say a single word for a long time. Mo Ying's reaction was similar. Her small cherry lips opened so wide that one could swallow a duck egg. Her beautiful eyes were filled with astonishment. 8 stars, 8 stars. This brat actually has 8 stars of compatibility with the ancestors' inheritance. How is this possible? How is this possible? I'm dreaming, I must be dreaming. Pa! A crisp sound of a slap was heard. Why did you hit me? I was checking to see if you were dreaming. Turns out you weren't. Nest, an outsider actually has an 8-star compatibility with the ancestors' inheritance. This is truly blinding. The surrounding MO family members had already lost their minds. This, heavens will, heavens will, heavens will, heavens will bless our MO family. Ha ha ha. In the pavilion, the white-haired old man was so excited that his body was trembling. His eyes were filled with ecstasy. I must inform the family head about this immediately, the white-haired old man whispered and then turned to leave. As expected, in the martial arts field, Lu Ming retracted his palm and fell into deep thought. Previously, he had discovered that this so-called test of compatibility with the MO family's ancestors' inheritance was actually related to the dragon's bloodline. Lu Ming guessed that the MO family's ancestor also had the bloodline of the cloud dragon or flood dragon. That was why Mo Ying had such a high compatibility. Lu Ming had the 9-dragon bloodline and could be said to be the ancestor of all dragons. Naturally, his compatibility was high. He had reached 8 stars. Unfortunately, Brother Lu is an outsider. Mo Ying sighed in her heart. Mo Ying, let's go. Lu Ming smiled. Mo Ying nodded and returned to the courtyard with Lu Ming. At this time, in a secret room of the Mo family, there was an urgent discussion. 2 days later, a middle-aged man came to Mo Ying's courtyard. Greetings, family head. Mo Ying and the rest quickly bowed. This middle-aged man turned out to be the family head of the Mo family. Little Ying, tomorrow you will inherit the ancestors' inheritance. The family head of the Mo family did not beat around the bush and went straight to the point. Tomorrow? So soon? Mo Ying was stunned. Obviously, it was a little unexpected. A long delay may cause trouble. The sooner you inherit the ancestors' inheritance, the sooner you can carry it forward. Then I can rest assured. The family head of the Mo family smiled and said very kindly, Thank you, family head. Mo Ying bowed emotionally. She was originally only a side branch, disciple of the Mo family. It was already extremely rare for her to be able to reach this step. Furthermore, she was going to inherit the inheritance of the ancestor tomorrow. In the Mo family, this was an unparalleled honor. At this moment, she was deeply grateful to the Mo family's patriarch. Haha, there's no need to be so courteous. The family head of the Mo family laughed heartily, then looked at Lu Ming and said with a smile, I guess this must be young hero Lu Ming. That's me. Greetings, family head of the Mo family. Lu Ming held his fists together and said, Haha, young hero Lu, there's no need to be so courteous. 2 days ago, you resonated with the testing pillar of the 8 stars. This news has spread to the entire Mo family. A miracle indeed. The family head of the Mo family exclaimed, then changed his tone and said, Here, I have something that I need your help with. You need my help? May I know what it is? Lu Ming was curious. I would like to invite young hero Lu to go with Mo Ying to the place of the ancestors' inheritance and help her obtain the inheritance. The family head of the Mo family said, Me. This time, not only Lu Ming, but even Mo Ying was surprised. That's right. To be honest, inheriting the ancestors' inheritance is not a smooth journey. There might be some twists and turns along the way. Young hero Lu's compatibility with the Mo family's ancestors' inheritance is as high as 8 stars. With you following and helping Moing, there will be no mistakes. I hope young hero Lu can agree. The family head of the Mo family held his fists together and said, "You're being too courteous. Since I can help Moing, I will not refuse." Lu Ming said, "That's good too." Lu Ming also wanted to see what it was that caused the 9 dragons' bloodline to cheer. Seeing that Lu Ming agreed, the family head of the Mo family was overjoyed. After chatting with the two for a while, he stood up and left. "Brother Lu, I'll have to trouble you again." Mo Ing bowed slightly. Her eyes were clear like water. A day's time passed very quickly. On the second day, the family head of the Mo family sent someone to pick up Mo Ing and Lu Ming. Chapter 327. It is indeed deep within the Mo family. Lu Ming was surprised. The Mo clan's residence was filled with layers upon layers of buildings. It was unknown how many palaces there were. The two of them walked around for half an hour before they arrived at a dilapidated stone house. In front of the stone house, the Mo family head and a few white-haired elders had arrived. "Haha, Mo Ing, young hero Lu, you are here. Under this stone house is the inheritance of our ancestors. When the door is opened, you can go in." The Mo family head smiled. Lu Ming and Mo Ing nodded. "Let's begin." The Mo family head nodded to the elders. The figures of several old men moved and scattered around the stone house. Their hands shot out rays of light that disappeared into the stone house. The stone house began to tremble slightly and emitted rays of light. The stone house was covered with inscriptions. The inscriptions shone brightly. As the elders shouted, a stone door in front of the stone house opened abruptly. The moment the stone house opened, Lu Ming seemed to see a sea of blood surging towards him. At this moment, the 9 dragons' bloodline seemed to be so excited that it was about to roar into the sky. This place is not simple. Lu Ming frowned slightly. Mo Ing did not seem to feel anything unusual. She looked at the stone house with anticipation. "All right, Mo Ing, young hero Lu, the stone door is open. You can go in." The Mo family head said, "Thank you, family head and elders." Mo Ing thanked the Mo family head and elders sincerely. Then, she got up and walked towards the stone house. Lu Ming's eyes flashed. He followed Mo Ing and walked in. When the two of them walked in, the stone door of the stone house closed automatically. "Ha ha ha, this is a success. This time, the Mo family will make a great contribution." When the stone door closed, the Mo family head laughed excitedly. However, there was no kindness on his face. Instead, it looked a little ferocious. In the stone house, after the stone door closed, the stone house was not dark. The walls of the stone house were inlaid with luminous stones. There was a large hole in the floor of the stone house. A stone staircase led down from the hole. Previously, the patriarch of the Mo clan had mentioned that the succession of the Mo clan's ancestor was located deep underground. The two of them did not hesitate and walked down the stairs. The staircase was very long, and it led downwards at an angle. After walking for about a kilometer, he saw a stone door. There were inscriptions flowing on the stone door, and it was overflowing with light. In the middle of the stone door, there was a pit. Mo Ing took out a jade token and shone it at the pit. "Kacha!" Immediately, the stone door creaked and opened automatically. Behind the stone door, there was another stone staircase that led downwards. The slope of the stone staircase was getting steeper and steeper until it was almost vertical. After walking for a while, she saw another stone door. Mo Ing drew a gourd and opened it with a jade token. This time, behind the stone door was a passageway. On both sides of the passageway were stone rooms. Lu Ming frowned slightly, because he could feel a chilling aura from these stone chambers. Why is this place so eerie? Obviously, Mo Ing felt it too, and she frowned slightly. Perhaps it's because no one has been here for too many years, Lu Ming said. Emoing nodded and did not say much. The two of them continued to move forward. After walking for a while, the stone chambers disappeared and the passageway continued to move forward. After walking for another kilometer, they reached the end of the passageway, and a huge underground cave appeared in front of them. In the cave, the chilling aura was even more intense. In the middle of the cave, there was a huge pool. When they saw the pool, the two of them were shocked. This pool was not filled with water at all, but with bright red blood. Yes, the entire pool was filled with blood, and the smell of blood filled the entire underground cave. What is this? Is this the inheritance of our ancestor? Emoing said in shock and disbelief. Swoosh! At this moment, the blood in the pool surged violently. Then the blood rushed into the air and condensed into two blood-red dragons that pounced on Lu Ming and Emoing. Roar! The two blood-red dragons roared, and the smell of blood filled their nostrils. The dragons' claws were as sharp as knives, and they clawed at the two of them. Not good. Lu Ming's face changed. The demon banishing spear appeared and stabbed out. Swoosh! Swoosh! Two spear radiants burst out and shattered the two blood-red dragons. Roar! Roar! However, the pool surged again, and the blood in the pool condensed into blood-red dragons. This time there were 8 of them. 8 blood-red dragons pounced on the two of them. How could this be? At this moment, Emoing finally reacted. She waved her hands to resist the blood-red dragons. Lu Ming's long spear shook and thrust out, destroying the blood-red dragons one by one. However, the blood-red dragons were not destroyed. They gathered together in the air and reformed into a blood-red dragon. At the same time, blood-red dragons continued to form in the pool and pounced on Lu Ming and Emoing. There was no end to them. Soon, Emoing was scratched by a blood-red dragon's claw, and a deep wound appeared. Boom! Lu Ming's aura exploded violently. He swept out his long spear, and dozens of blood-red dragons exploded in the air. However, it was useless. After a while, they would reform. Since I can't kill them, I'll destroy this pool. Lu Ming strode forward, intending to blast the pool that was filled with blood. Clang! Clang! At this moment, the sound of metal clashing could be heard from the pool. It sounded like iron chains colliding with each other. Clang! 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 The clashing sounds became louder. The blood in the pool surged even more violently, creating a loud sound like a stormy sea. Roar! Roar! The crimson dragons uttered a series of roars and stopped attacking Lu Ming and Emoing. They flew back into the blood pond. Boom! Suddenly, there was a violent roar from the pool. The entire underground cave shook violently. It was as if there was an ancient, giant beast in the pool that was about to break free. I'm not resigned to this. Suddenly, there was a loud roar from the pool. Lu Ming and Emoying's faces changed drastically. There was someone in the pool. I'm not resigned to this. The Inua imperial family is despicable and shameless. The Emo family is despicable and shameless. They framed me. I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. A loud roar came from the pool. It was filled with pain and unwillingness, as well as monstrous hatred. Clang! Clang! The clashing sounds of the iron chains became louder. The next moment, the pool suddenly surged violently and formed a human figure. The human figure was dozens of meters tall and huge. It looked like a burly old man. He roared to the sky, trying to break free from the shackles. However, he was surrounded by endless blood. Roar! Chapter 328. I can't accept this. The elder roared and struggled with all his might. Blood filled the air, and the underground cave kept shaking. Lu Ming and Emoing looked at the scene in shock. The 9 dragons' bloodlines' abnormal movement came from this pool of blood. Looking at the situation, It should be the blood of a flood dragon, and even the soul of a flood dragon. Lu Ming's mind was racing. But what's up with that elder? Lu Ming could not figure it out, but one thing was for sure. This was not the ancestral inheritance that the Mo family had mentioned. Looking at Mo Ying's expression, it was obvious that she did not know either. He and Mo Ying had been deceived. The huge elder struggled more and more violently, as if he could break free at any time. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, two old men with almost all their hair and faces full of wrinkles suddenly appeared on both sides of the cave. As soon as the two old men appeared, rays of dazzling light flew out from their hands. The light flew into the surrounding walls of the cave, and inscriptions appeared on the walls. Countless inscriptions intertwined and formed an inscription formation. They condensed into strips of light and flew into the pool of blood. Suddenly, inscriptions appeared on the surface of the blood in the pool of blood, and the huge flood dragon condensed by the blood. This greatly increased the power of the blood-water flood dragon, and it immediately suppressed the huge old man's figure. Ah, despicable Mo family, I can't accept this. The huge elder let out an indignant roar. Suppress! The two old men from the Mo family shouted softly, and their bodies shone. They controlled the inscription formation to suppress the huge elder. Rumble! Although the huge elder struggled with all his might, it was useless, and his movements were getting smaller and smaller. Start condensing. One of the old men from the Mo family shouted softly, and the other nodded. The two of them moved their palms, and dozens of flood dragons flew out of the pool of blood. They roared and pounced on Lu Ming and Mo Ying. What was different from before was that each of these blood-water dragons had inscriptions flowing on their bodies. Clearly, they were more powerful. Elders, what are you doing? I'm a disciple of the Mo family. Mo Ying was shocked. However, the flood dragons did not stop, and Mo Ying could only fight back. Bang! However, with just one move, Mo Ying was sent flying. Then, a blood-water dragon coiled around Mo Ying, trying to drag her into the blood-water pool. Elders, what are you doing? I'm Mo Ying, a disciple of the Mo clan. I'm here to receive the inheritance of my ancestor. Let me go. Mo Ying screamed in horror. Kill! Lu Ming shouted as he swept out with his long spear, causing the blood flood dragons to explode. Then he grabbed the blood flood dragon on Mo Ying's body and squeezed it hard, causing it to explode. On both sides of the cave, the faces of the two Mo family elders changed. Their gazes towards Lu Ming were filled with killing intent. Blood refining array, kill! The two elders of the Mo family shouted loudly. The light of the inscription formation in the cave became even brighter. All of a sudden, hundreds of bloody flood dragons flew out and pounced on Lu Ming. Of course, these bloody flood dragons were only a few meters long, and could not be compared to the huge flood dragon that was entangling the huge old man. Ha ha ha! Little girl of the Mo family, don't expect to get out of here alive. What inheritance of your ancestor? They just want to use you to refine the Inuit demonic leader. At this moment, the old man's laughter came from the blood-water pool. Rumble! That sentence was like a clap of thunder that exploded in Mo Ying's heart. Her eyes were filled with disbelief as she screamed. Use me to refine the Inuit demonic leader? No, this is not true. I don't believe it. You don't believe it? The truth is right in front of you. Little girl, accept your fate. You have been deceived by a group of hypocrites. The old man in the blood-water pool said. No, this is impossible. Elders, is this true? Mo Ying looked at the two elders of the Mo family. As a disciple of the Mo family, it is your honor to be able to sacrifice for the Mo family. Why don't you surrender now? The two elders of the Mo family said. Their faces were extremely cold and emotionless. Mo Ying staggered back as if she had been struck by lightning. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. The Mo family is despicable and shameless. They want to refine the blood and soul of a dragon into my body through the two of you. They want to refine me into a soulless, obedient puppet that only knows how to kill. No way, I will not surrender. The old man in the bloodwater pool roared. It's useless even if you don't surrender. This time, not only do we have a little girl with the cloud dragon bloodline, but we also have a kid who is more compatible with the dragon. With the two of them, we can definitely refine the Inuit demonic leader. This is God's blessing for the Mo family. Yen Quan, this is your fate. Why don't you surrender now? One of the elders of the Mo family roared. Fuck your head! The old man roared. Mo Ying's body trembled and her eyes were lifeless. It was as if her soul had been sucked away. It was fake. Everything in the past was fake. What genius of the Mo family? What key grooming? What ancestors' inheritance? It was all fake. The purpose of everything was to refine the Inuit demonic leader. The reason was because of the cloud dragon bloodline in her body. No wonder the head of the Mo family invited Lu Ming in. He said that he would help her, but it was all nonsense. It was nothing more than that he had taken a fancy to Lu Ming's bloodline. Everything made sense. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming kept waving his long spear and blocking the bloodwater dragons. Mo Ying, cheer up. We don't need such a family. At most, we'll rebel. Lu Ming shouted. Mo Ying's body shook, and then she recovered a little. She gritted her teeth and said loudly, I'm the master of my own fate. I won't listen to other people's arrangements. Rebellious and stubborn. Become a part of the glory of the Mo family. Kill. The two elders of the Mo family roared and controlled the inscription formation. More bloodwater dragons flew out and pounced on the two. A bunch of hypocrites. Kill. Lu Ming shouted. Boom! His aura erupted like a volcano as a huge stone tablet appeared. For silver chakras were shining brightly on it. Lu Ming burst out with all his strength. Boom! The power of wind and fire gathered. With a sweep of his long spear, a large number of bloodwater dragons exploded. Level 4 King, class bloodline. Who is this guy? An elder of the Mo family roared in shock. As far as he knew, there was no genius with level 4 King class bloodline in the entire Moon Empire. Where did Lu Ming come from? Could he be a peerless genius from a medium-sized empire? No matter who he is, there's no way out today. Let's kill this guy first. The other elder of the Mo family roared. Okay, let's do it. The two elders of the Mo family pinched their hands. Roar! The huge bloodwater dragon that was entangling the elder let go of him and pounced on Lu Ming with a roar. Its aura was so strong that it shook heaven and earth. It gave people the feeling that it was much stronger than an ordinary martial artist at the 9th level of the martial arts Grandmaster realm. It was unstoppable. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. He was about to retreat, but suddenly he stopped. Buzz!